I literally based my whole like a chunk of my life on what someone else thought, and they probably don't even fucking remember saying it.
They probably thought it for
No.
2 seconds
Yeah,
and then
they
moved on
probably
with
were
their
like,
life.
haha, fat ass, and then
Yeah.
and then I saw it was in
Yeah.
my head for years. I bet that was rough, man.
It was rough. It
Yeah.
wasn't nearly as fun as I thought it was going to be. Just
Yeah.
because I didn't know what I was doing. I don't know if I told you, so I was in a parking lot, and so I've been sleeping in Walmart parking lots most of the time, which ends up being like normal. Like that's what everyone does apparently.
Yeah.
Unless you live in the West where there's like land that's free you can live on. It's called
Yeah.
BLM land. You can just park in the middle. Like you can just park off the side of the street in the middle of nowhere, and it's fine. But you can't really do that in the normal world. So I have to find like Walmarts or whatever. It was like the fifth day, and I've been parking in the back of the Walmart parking lot where all the RVs park, the trailers park. It's all good. But then I saw on the side it says Auto Center,
Oh,
and I was like, that's easy. That's probably good. You know,
Yeah.
people probably park their cars there overnight to get worked on.
Oh yeah.
Fucking, I'm sitting there editing. Midnight rolls around, and I'm like, I kind of want a snack. Pop up to the front of the car, and I see this guy pull up, and I was like, yes, whatever, it happens sometimes. But then he parks right next to me. There's no other cars in the vicinity, so I'm
that's
like,
creepy, bro.
all right. And then I see his door open, and I was like, all right, what does this guy want? And then I looked, and then I was like, is that a white truck? And then I was like, is that a tow truck? And then I was like, that is a tow truck. And I drive the Prius,
Yeah.
hopped in the front. He was turning around to get his stuff to tow my car, and I pulled out of there.
Yeah, I
He didn't even know.
Yeah.
Because I looked in the rearview mirror, I'm like 100 yards away at this point, and I see him going like this, turns around, and he goes, like he literally did not hear the car. I was like,
Dude.
yo, that's nuts.
That's fucking.
Oh
that's
my
some
God.
good-ass luck, bro.
It really was, yeah. It was
Could you
so
imagine
lucky.
like if you like fell asleep and then all of a sudden you're moving? Dude, I would be shit.
That would have sucked. That would
Yeah.
have really sucked.
That would have been awful.
Yeah, that'd have been a tragedy. But
Yeah.
anyways, we'll get this podcast, we'll get this little thing started.
Okay.
Welcome back to your Joyage, everybody. It's Cage, your guide. It'll be replacing the voice inside your head for now, giving you a break from the constant internal monologue that is the human mind. I want to say thank you first for listening, viewing, whatever platform you're on. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, drop a like in this video, and Joyage Clips at Joyage Clips, Instagram and TikTok. That's where you can find all the highlight clips. We got Mr. Seth Eaton here. He's long time friend. He went to high school with me, but I don't think we really talked in high school.
No.
I don't know if we even met each other until
we
after.
had weightlifting, but that's it.
Oh shit, yeah, you're right about that. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Weinberg.
I was a weirdo, so it's fine.
I don't remember. I don't think I ever thought you were weird in high school. I just don't think we like talked in high school. I was too busy trying to be cool.
Yeah.
I was way too busy trying to be
I
cool
know, dude.
and
You were
big.
you were with Emery like the whole fucking time, man. No one could talk to you. It was like I remember. I hung out with that. You know that really big dude named Biscuit. Nah. Okay. Well, he would like just start fucking rapping for no reason. Like the man, he could spit, but like I hung out with him and this dude named Curtis and Rodney. That was who I lifted with. But I know you and Tyler.
Yeah, me and T-Walk. Me and
Yeah.
T-Walk pushed it on the bench press.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out T-Walk. We both hit two plates
Yep.
that year.
I remember that.
And then I hung out with Ryan McDonald
Oh, yeah.
a little bit. And then, I was with Emery the whole time. I'm curious, though. What was your... Did you even know who I was? Or did you care who I was in high school? I don't know.
So I thought you were like just a douchey soccer player. I mean, I
pretty
didn't
much
know
was.
You. Yeah,
I mean, I pretty much was.
I had no idea who you were. And,
Yeah.
Like I just was like, that man's fucking ripped. That's pretty much it.
Was I ripped in high school?
Yeah, I remember.
I can't remember.
I remember. I was just like, dude, because you and Tyler were hitting 2 plates, and I was at like 215, and I was like,
You were hitting 215?
yeah, I was close.
Damn,
was
I
like,
didn't know that.
I need to catch up to these fuckers, but like, no, I couldn't. No, not in the, because like running track and that shit wasn't it. So that
I forget in high school because I know I still was the same person in high school, but I definitely put out a front and I wasn't even aware. Like
Yeah.
I was trying to be so cool, but I never felt like I was being a jerk.
Uh-huh.
It just came off like that. Because I remember Sydney Hilburn. Do you remember her?
Oh yeah.
She was one of my best friends, and I remember one time we were sitting around and someone asked us if we had like hooked up or something. So we were driving back to the school because we had a game that night, and I asked her, I was like, "Yo, would you, just out of curiosity, would you ever like why would you not date me if there was a
Yeah.
reason?" She was like, "Honestly, I would." She's like, "You just turn into a dick sometimes. Like she's like, you don't even mean to. You just depending on who you're around, you just like gravitate toward wanting to hang out with them and fit that."
Yeah.
Group or whatever, and I didn't even know.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I ever like had like a reality shock where I was like, damn, I thought I was cool. I thought everyone liked me, but a lot of people didn't like me. Dalton's ex hated me.
Was that Abby?
Teresa.
Oh, Teresa.
Yeah,
No,
Teresa
dude,
hated me.
funny fucking story about that chick, bro. Like, she hated me too, cause like,
Why?
yeah. So she followed me on Instagram, and I was like, "Who the fuck is there's a linker?" Cause I read it like that, cause I didn't read it like Teresa, and then I was like, I saw that, I followed her back, and I was like, "Oh, she's dating Dalton." I was like, "Dalton, why are you dating someone named there's a?" He goes like, "You fucking dumb ass." Like, no, it's Teresa. And then,
Oh god.
yeah, I remember walking up to her and being like, "What's up, there's a?" And
You did not. You didn't even know her?
No. I was just like, "That's my buddy's girl. I'm gonna say hi."
Oh,
you know,
okay,
you know what I mean? But like,
Oh, you were friends with Dalton in high
yeah,
school.
yeah, me and that man, freaking Swindoll's class, like,
Bro,
we were like
Swindoll.
borderline, like, I don't know, we shouldn't have been in there because we were like, we would be in the back of the class, and like he'd be teaching, and I would just look at him. And he'd look at me, and then I would just bang my head on the wall. And then I'd wait for him to do it. And then we would just keep doing it the whole class until I got moved. Yeah, we were weird.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was pretty
so you've
funny.
chilled out since then, because we took a nutrition class together.
Oh, yeah.
Take a couple classes together in college. So we both went to CFC, shout out College Charleston.
Yeah.
And yeah. We done there though. You done there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we finished it out. We finished out strong, but we had nutrition class, and we were pretty chill in that class, I would say. We were loud.
Yeah.
But we still made good grades,
Yeah.
so she liked us. That was always the way I got out of stuff in high school and college. I was like, even if I messed around, and I was like trying to be like in high school, I probably was trying to be just cooler or whatever. But at least I got A's, so the teachers didn't really care.
Yeah.
Same with Kerlick. Like, she was dope. She liked us because we got good grades, or we made average grades.
Wait, who?
Kerlick, Professor K, in nutrition.
Oh, okay, that was her name. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't remember her name.
She
yeah.
chilling. She was cool.
Yeah,
She was cool. We messed around.
Yeah.
For what we did, we were loud as fuck. 'Cause I remember Devin's sister was in that class.
So.
Ali.
Yeah,
in the corner.
Isabel. Yeah, Isabel
shit,
was there. Yeah.
Shout out Isabel. Dude, nutrition class was dope. We that was the same year we walked around. I don't know much. I can't remember anything about nutrition class specifically, but I remember that semester we got. I think that was before environmental. Yeah, so we had just started hanging out like every day because we saw each other almost every day.
Yeah.
So we started walking because I told you about my 10,000 steps challenge thing, and you were like, "All right, I'm hopping on that."
Oh yeah.
So we just walked around for like an hour and a half before class, and that was dope.
Sweating. That was I remember, dude, my knee, like, cause I was like a year out of surgery, and I was like, man, this is hard, bro. My knee was like stiff by the end, and I was like just praying for class to come, dude, cause I was like, I just want to sit down. But I mean, it was cool. We always remember that one lady with like the cane that would walk.
She's
in there?
still here.
And that girl in the bottom.
Bro.
You remember her? Yeah.
I wish I knew her name. She was so pretty.
She was
so pretty.
very pretty.
That was a good spot to be walking. It was a good spot, unless that lady came, the hiker girl.
Yeah.
She still walks around Charleston. I mean, if I'm downtown, I see her every time. She's got her hiking stick, or whatever it is. I wanna talk to her. I
don't know, like, what would you even like? Yeah.
I just want to know what she's doing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just want to know. I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
you got like a book bag and
A cane.
the same exact clothes for the past year every day. I'm trying to figure out what's the deal. I'm like, are you a student? Are you just here? Are you homeless? Like, I just want to know. Just curious.
I don't know. That would be, dude. It's really like interesting to talk to like homeless people.
Have you?
Yeah. When I was working at King of Pops, I was at Quicksilver, and there's this homeless man, and I was like, he was like, "Hey man, you have any like money or food?" And I was like, "I mean, I got popsicles, bro. Do you want you want a popsicle?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Okay, fine. I'll whatever I don't sell, like whatever ones that like are unpopular, I'll just give you the whole box, and you can. I mean, they'll probably be melted, but you can have them." And so he was just chilling next to me, and I was like, "Man, like what even happened to you, bro? Like how did this happen? Like, cause I always see these people, and like my instant reaction is always to like just don't look at him, keep walking. I mean that's just the way it is. But he was like, I got laid off, and that's pretty much all I remember because it was a few years ago. But I know he got laid off, and like it wasn't right, pretty much, and he was just like trying to get by because he didn't have any family in Charleston, no way back or anything to where he was. But yeah, it was an interesting conversation. It was like it really opened my eyes because like now when I see a homeless person, I'm like, okay, like this is a person, no matter what like they're going through, and even if they're like scratching their neck, you know, like asking for money, because you know, obviously, like when one's on drugs and when one isn't, it's like I don't know. Sometimes I remember one time this like almost person came up to me, and I was just like, "Fuck off! No, I'm not doing it." Like she like knocked on my window. I just looked at her. I was like, "No, no, shoo fly." Like,
It's a really. I wish there was more open, not communication, but like knowledge about that whole just world because I just don't
yeah,
know. I don't know, and like is in the same way like the tip industry, like in the
mm-hmm.
service industry, like I don't know which services I'm supposed to tip because I just there's no like plaque where it's like, yo, you're supposed to tip these types of people and like these types of jobs.
Yeah,
And same with homeless, like I just don't know what the criteria is for like me going, okay, this is someone that I could actually help, or is this someone I'm just gonna like buy drugs as soon as I give them $3?
yeah,
Like you just don't know, and like I feel like, because especially with drugs and like drug dealers, like 20 years ago, drug dealers all the adults thought drug dealers were these like ghetto people like
yeah,
running around shooting people, but now drug dealers are like people who look like you and me.
yeah.
You know, like
Oh
one of my
yeah,
best friends. Never mind, I'm not gonna say it.
yeah,
But
yeah.
so
I
like
know, I know.
yeah,
I
so it's just
got you.
normal people,
Yeah, normal.
and
Yeah,
so people have this old stigma, and I'm thinking that maybe the homeless stigma isn't nearly as like crappy as we think it is. Like maybe
no.
it's just normal people, and they're just really trying to get by.
Yeah, I mean, it. Well, it's like it's kind of like where they've been brought up in a way, because like you know, I mean, like if they grew up in the bad side of downtown, and you know, who knows what they've been through, you know what I mean? And it's just like it's a completely different world if you grew up on like America Street downtown, or if you grew up in fucking Drayton Hall. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Like you're gonna see different stuff, you're gonna hear different stuff, you're gonna like behave different ways because like you don't know. I don't know. It's just like there's a lot of unknowns whenever you see someone like that, and I really think it's just like up to you in the moment. Like, are you gonna decide like, hey, maybe I will spot this person like $5, or like I don't know. It's really like you just gotta decide in the moment like who you are, like who you're gonna be, I guess, in a way. But
true.
I
Yeah.
don't know. There's this one song by like Kendrick Lamar, and it's like this dude that's like it's like how much does a dollar cost, and it's like talking about like he like walks up to a gas station, and there's this guy, and like he's asking for $1, and it's like this homeless man is like metaphorically God, and now it's just really cool. It's like how much does like a dollar truly cost to like give it to someone that like may or may not need it.
True.
You know what I mean? It's really interesting stuff. Yeah.
That is true. Yeah. I guess the only thing that holds me back sometimes from, well, one, I never have cash on me, but like
Mm-hmm.
also I just am a big believer in if you really want something, you can make that happen. And I know that there's privilege there speaking just because of how I was raised. I always have like a backup. I always have people that could help me. And
Yeah.
I understand that there are people who don't have any connections, any family, anyone to like get help. But there are stories of like immigrants who come in with
Oh
absolutely
yeah.
nothing and they make it happen. So I know it's possible.
Oh yeah, it
And
is.
so sometimes when I see people just hanging out, if it's the same person, like in Charleston, like the same people at the same place
Mm.
over and over again, I'm like, yo, you could probably find another way here
Oh
other
yeah.
than begging, you know? So that's the only thing that sometimes holds me back. So I'm like, why don't you just wash cars or something? I mean, there's like YouTube videos of this guy. He's like, okay, I have $1. He goes, I'm
Mm.
gonna start with this $1, and in 2 months, I'm gonna make this like $6,000. And
Yeah.
they'll wash cars, then they'll like get a lawnmower and like just work their way up. And maybe that's because they have like a higher intelligence, or maybe they like learned about finance or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I still believe I'm like, yo, if you really want to get out of this rut that you're in, I was like, you can do it. It's gonna cause it just requires that like I'm up against the wall and I need to do something about it.
Yeah.
And some people just never get to that point. They just are like, oh, this is fine. I'm comfortable.
Yeah, they're like I guess they're stuck in like the cycle of like addiction, and that stuff's really hard to kick, especially like if it's the only thing that like helps you get by, or like you know if you are homeless and you're addicted to crack or heroin or something like that. It's like okay, your only focus is the crack or heroin. Like you don't give a fuck about anything else because like that's how strong those like drugs are. Like you know it's just it's messed up, man. I feel so like pitiful towards them because it's like if I give you this, I know what you're gonna do with it. But if I don't give you this, like you're just gonna keep struggling. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. There's almost no way. Like the only
yeah,
way they can be helped is by them realizing like, yo,
yeah,
I got to do something. And it's really hard. And I haven't been addicted to like a substance that intense, but I have gone through like an addictive phase where I'm like, it is really hard to know you're in that cycle even until after, and you're like, damn.
Like, I'm addicted right now.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not fun.
It's hard, and with those drugs specifically, they take you out. You know, if you're on heroin, you take a hit of heroin, you're out for the next X amount of hours until you wake up and you need it again. And so that's a scary place to be in. And it's definitely easier to talk about when you've never tried it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but damn.
Yeah, damn.
Yeah, no. I couldn't do a drug. It's just not worth like the risk and the reward ratio for me. It's just not there. Like with psychedelics, it's different because I've tried psychedelics, but I also have researched and know they're not really addictive. I know some people can. I actually know some people who have been addicted to acid, but for me, I just can't. Like I take something once and it's like I need like months to recover.
Oh yeah. I'm the same here. Yeah.
Are you? I forget if we talked about if you're open to talk about psychedelics and stuff. Like, because I know Dalton, he was open to talk about it, but he was like, he's maybe gonna be a lawyer or a sports broadcaster. So we talked about. I was like, oh, so I brought something up. He was like, well, I've never tried it, and I was like, oh right, yeah. Just like in a dream, if you had, and he's like, well, I haven't done it, and I was like, all right, okay. So I don't know. Do you care? We don't have to like go into specifics of whether you have. We can cut all this stuff.
Okay, we can. I mean, we could just talk about it and then.
And we'll just say like in a hypothetical. We'll just start everything with hypotheticals.
Yeah.
Everything.
For one, we don't do this stuff. This is purely hypothetical.
Never.
It's never happened.
Never.
This is all hypothetical. Like hypothetically, years ago, I took it.
Hypothetically, yeah. So none of this stuff you're about to hear about psychedelics has ever been actually taken. It's just all for fun.
Yeah.
Just stories we saw on YouTube.
Yeah.
You know.
Like,
but if you had taken a substance of psychedelic nature, and it happened to have been acid, I guess, then what was your first experience? Why did you take it? What was the situation setting?
So I was 14 and I was depressed, and my buddy who was living with me, and he got mushrooms, and we were he was like, hey man, like, do you want to take these? Like, it's fun, like you'll really like it. And I was like, yeah, I mean, why not? Like, I was like, because I was depressed, you know. I was like, I was like stuck in this like stage where like literally like the only thing that would like could bring me out of my, I don't know, depression, I guess, was like weed. And right before that, I like remember like I started smoking, and then I would get like panic attacks and anxiety, and so like I was like, well, I can't do this anymore. But I still had that like sadness inside of me, and I don't know like where it came from. I don't know how to like I didn't know like how to get rid of it or anything. And so my buddy, like, you know, he had the shrooms and stuff. He like cut them up, and we took it, and I was like an hour in, and I was like, okay, like this is cool. Like I'm starting to shake a little bit. Like I'm getting a little nervous. I'm like, what is this gonna be like? What if I start seeing demons or something? You know, because I'm like a kid. Like I don't know. And it was really great. I like.
Do you remember how much you took?
It was just a gram.
Okay.
Yeah, just a gram. And but man, it was very I remember just like staring at the ground. No, it was the sky. Oh my God. It was the sky. I was like laying on my back porch and just looking up, and I saw this like constellation, but like it wasn't like anything I've ever seen before. It was like, it looked like an angel, but like I guess my eyes were making it look like that, obviously, but I was like, holy shit, like this is crazy. And then I looked to my right and I saw this tree, and it looked like the Fibonacci sequence, like spiral.
Oh shit.
And I was like, I was like, what is happening? And then we went in my like yard, and I had my flashlight out, and I was like hitting the grass with the flashlight, and so the shadows were like dancing behind them. And I was like, man, like this stuff's really like, wow, I love this. Like life is cool again. Like this, I feel like a kid. Like this is amazing. And then ever since then, I've had like stages where I've been like that depression has like revisited, and it's like come up. But ever since then, I've like kind of had a completely different outlook on life, and like I like cherish like little moments, and like I've learned to, I don't know, it's just really like, it was really eye-opening.
Yeah, that's the best way to describe it. It's just eye-opening, and once you have that knowledge that you're like, okay, so that realm of existence is like real. Like I felt it, and you
Yeah.
can't. Honestly, words can't do it justice. There's no way to fully even when you're talking to someone who hypothetically has also done it, there's no way to actually put it into words because
No.
it's not something that's verbal. It's a feeling
Yeah.
or it's like a way of life that you can only experience it. You know, there's no way to bring it back
No.
unless you take it.
Yeah.
And so especially with something as intense as like DMT, you can't bring any of that back. You can just kind of remember what that was like, sort of. You just know it happened, you know.
Yeah.
And so that's the frustrating part when you try it. If someone who hasn't tried it is either interested or just wants to know, there's no way to
No.
actually tell them like, yo, weed is cool. Weed's great.
It's
You know, we
nothing
love
like
weed,
it.
but it is not even remotely in the same.
No.
Like it's just not the same.
It's not a 6 to 8 hour thing. you
No,
know?
and it takes you completely out of this like way of thinking and because I mean I've done some research on psychedelics and like the science of it, and it's supposed to like there's like the highways that your neurons travel on
Yeah.
normally, and the highways sort of blend together all in one highway basically when you
Yeah.
take a high amount of one of those psychedelic drugs, and you just start thinking differently and you start experiencing things differently. Lights are cool. You know, everything
Yeah.
you do is cool. The nature, the trees are like moving and breathing. That's something I always notice, like the breathing,
Yeah.
especially with shrooms. And I'm just like, wow, that is nuts. All it did was bring me closer to like the natural world
Oh yeah, man.
for me.
Like I remember I was playing guitar when I was doing it, and like, dude,
Oh my God.
I was like, because like I was like okay at it. Like I wasn't the best guitar player. I'm still not, but like I like I remember that was when I was like, okay, like I'm in love with this thing. Like this thing, I can like attach myself to this instrument and like project something and like make a noise that like makes me feel happy, and I know it can make other people feel happy as I'm playing it. So it was just like, I don't know, it really like sparked my interest in music. And then like shortly after that I got a drum set too, and I was just like, I am gonna learn like I remember, dude, I stopped tripping and I was like, I'm gonna learn everything there is to know ever. I want to be the most smart. Like it wasn't like I wanted to try to be the smartest or anything. I was just like, I'm only gonna be alive for like 70 more years. Like truly, like, you know, I mean, like maybe live to 90 or something, but like in that time frame, like I need to learn everything I can before I go. And that was like when, like that moment in time was when I was like, okay, like let's start reading. Like I dived into like, my grandma had a whole like library of these like old philosophers and like books like that. And I remember I was reading like Aristotle, Socrates, like Plato, like
Whoa.
Nietzsche. Like, yeah, man, I was like determined to figure out the meaning of life, because like I was just like, I need to figure this shit out, because it was like bothering me. I was like, how the hell am I here? Like, why am I here? Like all these questions that are just like every 14-year-old kid's thinking of. You know, it's just
Did you ever come to a conclusion there? Have you?
no.
No?
No,
Do you have
I mean-
any sort of ideas of like this might be it? Or at
Um,
least gives you some contentment in that question?
Well, I've become, I mean, the more I dived into it, the more I realized that there is none, and it's pretty much what you make.
That's what I was about to say. I was
yeah.
going to say the only ones that make sense after months or years of like questioning it and finding different people's opinions on it.
Mm-hmm.
The only one I ever made sense was like, we're just here and we're here to just see it all and
Exactly.
experience it and do different things. And that's what I've noticed, especially once I went on this Joyage of just saying fuck it to the 9 to 5, or I don't even know what this is, but I was like just going
Yeah.
after something instead
Yeah.
of thinking about it, and then actually going on that conquest and seeing what it's like, that experience that brought me back. I was like, that's what, I mean, that's not what life is, but I was like, that's one of the things that is important in life, is to go and do those things that you want. That way it's not in your head. You know, when it's
Yeah.
always in your head, you don't know until you go. Like when I went and I realized that, or I don't think at least that travel will solve any problem of mine. All the problems
Yeah.
are inside me. Even if I go to Alaska or like Antarctica or somewhere where it would be amazing to be, I'm still taking all those problems with me to Antarctica or to
Yeah.
Alaska or Montana. So it's not like they're just gonna be solved. So I had to come up with like more realistic expectations of what I was doing, because when I first left, I thought that traveling would just make me feel completely full, satisfied in every way, and not feel like I needed to do something or go somewhere. And when it didn't do that, after like 4 days, I was like, fuck, and I fell into like not depression, but I was like super overthinking everything.
Yeah.
And part of that I think has honestly like I don't know anything that much about full moons and astrology, but every time I have a freak out, it's always the week of the full moon.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it is, but I
Makes
just
sense.
remember saying, okay, so I need to dial back some expectations here to like almost nothing.
So when was the moment in your life where you like did feel full?
Hawaii, because
Yeah.
I had full financial freedom. I got my taxes back that day,
Yeah.
and I got like $4,000 or whatever it was, and I was like, okay, so I don't need to worry about paying for anything. I'm good. Like I couldn't run out of money if I tried. I only had like 5 days left, so that second week of Hawaii was amazing because I realized when you don't have to stress about money, you don't need like a ridiculous amount of money. But if you're not stressing about money and you're in a place where you feel comfortable,
Yeah.
I was like, that is a completely different existence because I mean, the reason I want to move out of Charleston isn't because I think I'm going to find something in Montana. I just want to be in a place where I go outside and I'm truly comfortable and happy.
Yeah.
And I just don't have that here for whatever reason, if it's the culture. I'm not huge into the beach. Like, I like mountains and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So I think the culture and the vibe of me would fit better somewhere else. And that's more of what I'm looking for. It's just a place where I'm like, yeah, I want to live here.
Yeah.
You know, like here, I don't want to live here. I don't like the weather. I don't really care much about the beach. It's a really high drinking town in Charleston.
Yeah.
And so I'm just not into that stuff. So
Not me either, man.
I'm trying to leave. And then it's also, as soon as I got back, like a infestation of bugs just attacked me or something. I woke
Damn.
up and I was like, all right.
All
I was
right,
like,
guess this
sweet.
is
Just
here.
literally like 100 bug bites or whatever this is.
Yeah.
So now I'm on roids. So I'm officially not natural. I'm on steroids, some kind of antibiotic
Juiced
steroid
up,
to get
juiced
juiced
up.
up to them.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh yeah, look at that.
that's
yeah.
pretty big.
Oh,
I'm not
yeah.
gonna lie. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
You been working out, bro?
Yeah. I mean, I was hitting the weights really hard during the first part of the year, and then I started playing basketball a lot, and I don't know, I've kind of like shifted my like regiment to like basketball like twice a week, and then weights like twice a week. Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I just like, I really like, I love lifting and stuff, but I feel like fucking winning in a one-on-one is much more rewarding than
It's fun. It's way
than
more fun.
squatting like 315 or whatever.
I don't even do that kind of weightlifting anymore. I
Yeah.
completely scrapped all the heavy lifting.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, every now and then I'll
feel
feel like pushing heavy, but like not really. Like honestly, like I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, I already did all that. I did like the heavy lifting.
Oh, yeah.
I hit the numbers I wanted to hit, except for the one number I never hit was 315 on bench. And
Oh,
I'm never
that's
gonna. I'm
tough,
just never
bro.
gonna hit it.
Yeah.
It requires so much dedication to be able to put up
Yeah.
weight like that. And I got to 300, and that was the biggest I've ever been. That was the
Yeah.
strongest I've ever been, and that was like all I did. So I was like, I understand what it takes to get that. I'm not willing to put in that work.
No.
I just don't care.
Yeah. It's just a number at the end of the day.
Yeah, it just makes me feel good though. Like for a while, I kind of like stopped working out entirely, and I always seem to come back, even when I take breaks.
Yeah.
I always seem to come back because it feels good to get in the gym sometimes, even if you don't want to go and you show up.
That's the best. I find those are the best days when like
Yeah.
you don't want to go and then you go, and then like afterwards you're like, I did that, you know.
Especially for me on the roads. Like right now, I have no job.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's nice to be in a place where, at least for me mentally, sometimes I'm always like I need to be doing something or going somewhere or progressing in some way. The gym is like a, what's it called when you're in between like here and heaven, purgatory?
Purgatory,
It's like
yeah.
there's like a realm where like time doesn't exist. You know,
Yeah.
where like you're in the gym and like no one's pushing you. You don't have to be here for 30 minutes or 6 hours. You can stay as long as you want.
Yeah.
You can. There's 100,000 machines in the gym. Like you can literally just hang out all day in the gym, and like that like releases all this tension and pressure for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm here, I can do one set or I can do 50 sets, and like no one cares.
Yep.
No one's looking at me. Everyone's just here to put in their work.
Yep.
That's like the one big thing I took away because I started working out twice a week at Planet Fitness because that's all I can do when I'm traveling. You can
Yeah.
only go twice a week to places that aren't your home gym.
Yeah.
So I can only go twice a week. So like when I'm there, I'm like relishing that time.
Yeah.
And I'm just like hanging out. And it's weird. Like I had that weird realization where I was like, damn, everyone in this gym is just trying to get their couple
Yeah.
hours of just me time.
Yeah.
Now that's cool.
Yeah. That's really cool.
I love it.
Yeah, I love working out, man. You should see me in some basketball, man. I've gotten fucking nasty. I'm
Your
not gonna lie.
knees?
The what?
How are your knees, bro?
They're all right, you know.
Are they?
Yeah, they're not. It's more so this one now, honestly. Like I rolled this ankle a few times, and it just like
So your knee recovers, your ankle blows out.
Yeah, like this one, I don't know. It just like pops some, like you can hear it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it
Does
just
it hurt? It
no,
hurt? Oh, it doesn't hurt.
no, it just I think something's messed up with it.
Do you
But
stretch?
sometimes, yeah, I try to. Usually
you
when
actually?
I'm at no when I'm at my restaurant work or job or whatever, I'll just like go in the office and hang, do my 15, and then like spread one side 15, the other side 15.
Solid.
You know,
pretty good.
Yeah, but that's about it for stretching. I'm not a stretcher, but that's it.
I remember when we were walking on the little track,
Oh, yeah.
and I was like trying to show you some. I forget if it was stretches or if I was trying to show you. It was knee stuff because we both had gone through knee surgeries and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, this is like one of the things because you were doing like physical therapy.
Yeah.
While we were like, you were doing like lunges.
Oh, yeah.
And I would just sit there with you.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh my God. Do you miss college, Charleston, at all? Like, do you miss anything about the college experience that you're not seeing now?
No,
Nothing?
I don't. I hated it. I mean, cause like you gotta think like I didn't live down there or anything. So like I mean I know you didn't either, but like you know
I lived there for a couple. No, two
Yeah.
of my years of college was fully normal, like
Oh.
in the dorms and everything.
Yeah. Well, I never had that. I just always drove and drove back. Like it was really like I drive there because sometimes I'd have class at 8 or like 9:25 or whatever, and then I'd drive there, school, and if I had a break, I'd just stay in the library and study, and then Kaleidoscope in the gym. And
That's
so
a different college experience than
it was gay. I did
if you
not like it.
if you're a kid who like, especially if your parents are paying or whatever, but if you're going to college, you have a dorm, you have friends that are always like around, and you have time. You can go back to your dorm. You can go to the gym. You can go to the library. But you're here. You're like in the college campus. That's completely different than not being there. Because I did 1 year of full commute.
Yeah.
I had 1 year in the dorms, second year in the dorms, third year off campus, but like a couple hundred feet away from the campus. So I was still there.
Yeah.
And even that one honestly felt much different than being on campus.
Yeah.
I much prefer being on campus. I know everyone who lives in the dorm freshman year, almost all of them want to move off after. And I get the stigma with dorms because you have like an RA, you have all that stuff. But like, it's just not like a big deal. I mean, I was an RA. I also lived right next to an RA my freshman year. It's just not, if you're not doing crazy illegal stuff all the time, it's really not a big deal. Like most RAs, that's not true. Most RAs are out to get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, actually, yeah. RAs are out to get you. I'm not. I wasn't. I didn't care. I was just there because I got free housing or almost free housing. But I don't know. I mean, they just don't like being held down, I guess. But it's just such a different experience when you're off campus.
Yeah, it's really lame.
Lame.
It's really lame.
That's the best way to describe it.
Dude, my days, like every single day, it was like 9 to 8 every fucking day. And then, you know, have to study. Because, like, I couldn't not go to the gym. Like, that was like, I was like, I have to do this. Like, or else I would go insane. Because, like, I had no other outlet. I don't want to drink. I mean, I like drinking, but, like, I'm not going to drink on a weekday. Like, no. And I was like, I wasn't hard on the nicotine yet. So I was like, okay, the only thing I can do is gym. And so, dude, I'm so happy it's over. I'm just so happy. And I don't want to go back. I mean, maybe like a master's degree in something, but like...
But something
we'll
you're
see.
into.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Not like environmental science.
All right, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. This is the last bit of college that I remember vividly because that was it the last semester I was there? That was so that was my last semester at college because we halfway through we got cut off. So we had everything on Zoom. Okay, so I remember. So before we'll talk about Zoom in a sec because I think there's a couple of funny things that happened on Zoom that we had together. But there's also we had a couple months of being in class together. And honestly, if you never had a class with me and Seth in the same room, you missed out because that was fun.
It was fun.
It was fun. And we even got the rest of the class involved sometimes. We would have discussions and we would just raise our hands, say some just absolute fucking bullshit.
Left field, out of nowhere type shit.
Complete bullshit. And we were like those people. We were in the corner of the classroom, the back corner,
Yep.
like doodling. I have so many random Snapchats of us doodling or whatever. We had the beautiful lady next to us. What was her name?
I don't know, but she
Maddie maybe.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I know she had a boyfriend. I was like, fuck. But yeah, a bunch of baddies in that class. Baddies for sure.
Yeah.
And we had a I think it was the midterm or some type of big project that I walked up and I was like, Professor, I'm gonna need to play some music. And she looked. I don't think she quite understood what I meant. And I walked up to the class.
Dude.
I had a normal. It was a normal like PowerPoint presentation or something. And I just pulled out my phone and just put on a random song. I think it
was some like whistling tune with snaps or something, dude. It was.
It was so.
It
I
was
just
funny.
did. I don't. I had worked orientation. I know how presentations go. I know presentations with background music. Just when you have music, you're just more at ease.
Yeah.
You know, when you're especially if you're in an environmental class, everyone's tensions are up. It's a bunch of liberals in one room.
Oh, yeah.
They're all waiting to stab you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I'm like, just ease out. So I played some light music. It wasn't that big deal.
No.
And she said it was fine. She didn't
Yeah.
know what I was probably gonna do. She probably didn't even hear me.
Yeah.
But she ended up marking me down a full letter grade for it. I went from A to a B to start. And I ended up getting like an
Wow.
82 or something like that.
Yeah.
But I remember it was like a full deduction because of the music. And I almost said something, and I was like, I don't care.
Nah, dude.
I mean, what are you gonna do? She's not gonna rescind the points to me.
No.
It was a good project, I thought.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't pretty good.
I liked it. Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't remember what it was.
I don't
but
remember what it
remember
was.
enjoying it. Yeah, I remember.
It was-
like, laughing.
It was so hard presenting when I know you're right there, and I
Yeah.
wasn't looking
Dude,
at you,
couldn't look
but
at
I
me,
could
bro.
see you. And I was like,
Dude, oh my god, bro. That was so. Wait, what was mine on? Mine was on.
who knows?
Oh wait, I remember it was like global warming and like something about like it was like 80 degrees in like Antarctica or something like that or like the southern tip of South America was like the hottest it's ever been, and I was like, that's interesting. I'll do that.
Facts.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true.
Yeah.
It definitely. There was a couple things in that class where I was like, it didn't open my eyes entirely, but I was like, that's good information to know.
Yeah.
So there was a couple definitely positives about that class.
Oh yeah.
And we went on Zoom, and this was funny because me and Seth, especially at that point,
Yeah.
we did not care.
No.
But I had a little bit of just like, you know what, this is the last thing. I like winning. I don't like winning that much. Like, I don't care. But we had a debate for our
Yeah.
final. I think it was a final debate. It was like separate from the exam.
Yeah.
And me and Seth were on opposite teams. We were on opposing sides of the
yeah.
debate.
I remember that.
It was about something we didn't particularly care about, but I remember sitting there on Zoom. There was a little bit of rivalry just because
Yeah.
we both wanted to win. But we didn't
Yeah.
care that much. We weren't that prepared.
Mm-mm.
But I remember because I did my bit, and then we were listening to you, and I'm sitting there. Part of me is trying to pinpoint like problems in your argument or whatever, but then the other half of me was like not even listening at all, and I just thought it was funny.
Dude, that was me too. Yeah.
I was laughing on one side. Part of me was laughing just at you trying to explain your debate, and then part of me was trying to pick it apart.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Dude, I hated that class, man. That was so stupid. It was like, all right, we're gonna have debates, and it was like, why? Couldn't we just like learn about the environment? Like, why do we have to debate? Why is this class the only class in college that I've had debates in? Why?
Is it really?
Yeah, the only one.
Did you not take any communication classes? We had a couple debates in public health classes.
I had a public speaking class and health communication, I think. But
Okay,
we didn't
yeah.
have debates in those.
We
no.
had the only one I had a debate in was it was a communication course, and it was having to do with it was actually good. It had to do with our healthcare system, and that was actually like that was good to do probably, and I learned a little bit there. But I don't like debates only because like I want to be on a debate if I actually care about it, just remotely care about it. There's no way to replicate that in a class unless you have to do some other things. Like I know there's a couple of classes where I had debates where we ended up getting into it, and it was actually entertaining because it was about something to do with like a project we were doing. So we had a little bit of like skin in the game, and we cared a little bit. But something like this, where like, yo, pick something and debate about it.
Yeah.
We're all like,
Dude, like, no. Come on.
there's some kid named Ryan in our environmental class. I remember.
What did he have the
he
shaved
was
head?
he was that.
You know
I think he had a buzz cut, bleached hair.
Yep.
And bro, I just remember this was in class. This was after my presentation with music. I remember I was like, all right, any questions? And I started to walk off, and I was like, yes. And I just see like and I was like, what? And he's like, so like the sustainable, I forget some question. I was like, bro, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Why do you want to know this? Like, what are you serious?
And you really expect me to know? Like, I'm doing this for a grade. Like, please.
But also, I've asked a question before, And like I don't know if he probably cared about the answer, but when I ask questions, I just do it to like fuck with them and see what kind of bullshit they come up with. Because I think on yours, I don't remember if I asked a question, but if I did, it would have definitely been something dumb just to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
Just for shits and giggles.
I remember you asked one question, and I was just like, did this man really just ask that question? I don't remember what it was, though, but I was like,
God.
that is funny. Yeah.
God, dude, man, environmental class. Speaking of environment, sustainability, we went camping.
Yes,
We've only been once. I don't know why. I guess it's just hard.
It's hard.
Schedules and shit.
Yeah.
But we went camping with Spivey. Shout out Spivey.
Yep. Big time.
We're supposed to go again. Dude, if we go again, it'd be epic to do it out in the West.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I know. That would be really, really cool.
I haven't been camping yet. I mean, the first 2 weeks I was just trying to figure everything out.
Yeah.
And there was nowhere really to camp. All the places I went, you couldn't park overnight or you couldn't camp overnight. But I love camping and hiking and all that stuff. I don't know about you.
Oh yeah.
But
I really do, man. It's fun. That thing we went on was really cool. I don't remember the name of the mountain.
it was
I know it was in Pigsaw.
Oh yeah, Pisgah National Forest.
Yeah.
I forget I don't think it was Table Rock. It might have been.
Nah,
Table Rock's a really, really long hike.
Yeah, no. I don't think that was it.
It probably wasn't. It probably wasn't.
but-
It was a good hike though.
Yeah, I remember the view was really cool.
I think we smoked up to, or I don't know if you smoked. I know you didn't smoke at the time, but me and David smoked up there. Well, you have smoked weed, so you understand.
Yeah.
But when you're smoking weed, this was the one thing that did live up to the hype that I thought it would. When I was at home, you're smoking like at your friend's house or like in your living room, and I would do this all the time. I'd be on TikTok or something, swiping through, and it'd be people like living out their dreams on top of mountains, like doing stuff, really doing things, and anything that wasn't sitting on the couch. And I'm sitting there like high, and I'm like, I should be high and doing these things.
Yeah.
And I had a realization when I was hypothetically on acid, sitting on my couch on TikTok, and I remember this so vividly, and it literally changed my life. And I think that was one of the moments where I was like, I need to do something different here. And I was still in Charleston, there was no end in sight. I was just serving the restaurant, and it was on the side. The video was on the side of a mountain, ice mountain, and the guy stopped halfway through on his skis and just like had his GoPro or whatever, and he's looking over the mountains, snow everywhere, and I was like, bro, oh my God, this guy is right there, like in person, here amongst all the mountains and snow, and I'm sitting here in a fucking living room.
Yeah.
I was like, bro, are you fucking kidding me? And so when I went and I was on top of a mountain and I smoked, it was awesome.
Yeah. I mean, that's the problem with social media, bro. It's like you'll be just chilling, like living your life, honestly, like you were, and then you'll see something and be like, damn, like wish that was me, I hate that stuff.
That's
I really
the
do.
one part that I don't even think I like believe in my core. One of the reasons I'll succeed long term. It may take a while. Because like right now, my YouTube, the podcast, all that thing, it's growing, steady growing, but the growth is like this. It's like 1%, like bare, like not even, you can't even see the growth. It's so small. But I know as it gets bigger, it's easier to grow and it's faster to grow. So I know if I can keep getting through these little moments. But one thing I do that's different than I don't think any creator that I've seen is the crap that you're going through as it's happening. Most people, they don't talk about it because they're not fully aware. You'll go through a rut of like 2 days where you feel like shit, nothing's going for you, and you'll wait to make a video until you're feeling better. And then you either gloss over it, don't talk about it, or you talk about it way later about how you were feeling. And I have to do the podcast once or twice a week just to get my thoughts out because it's all thrown around in my head. So I don't have a choice but to like make videos in spite of how I'm feeling. And I don't really care to hide it because I just can't. I'm like, yo, I feel like shit because of these reasons. I know it sounds spoiled or I sound like a brat, but like this is how I feel. I can feel it, like I can't stop it. So that's like the one thing that I do that it almost cancels out the social media aspect of social media in the sense that Instagram is highlights. It's all highlights. The only time you post on Instagram is when you feel good, take a good shot, and everything looks great. It looks like every day you're living is that, know? And now that I'm in this space of posting, and not influencer because I'm not even remotely big enough to be called an influencer or whatever, but I see that side. I see the behind the scenes of what if I was to have 6 million followers and still doing the exact same thing I'm doing right now, I would know from the back end that these pictures on my Instagram grid are not my actual life. That's like 5% of my life is this picture. When I took this picture, I was on this hike at the peak. That was a 1% of the whole experience, you know?
Yeah.
The rest of the time, I'm driving, I'm editing, I'm sitting in a parking lot.
Getting lost.
You know, like that's most of my life. So now that I'm
Yeah.
like out here living the actual dream of a travel photographer or whatever that everyone wants to live, I'm like, yo, it is actually not that different. The only difference is I'm out here driving to these places when you're just driving to work.
Yeah.
And that's the only real difference here. And so you still feel like crap sometimes.
Oh yeah.
And I don't have a problem saying it online. So I don't want to, because I don't want to create that image of just like, I'm out here traveling, I'm killing it, I'm doing this and that. And that's just that's the vibe I get from these travel people, because they only show that stuff.
Well, it's a good outlet, man. You know, I would not keep that shit in. Do whatever you can to get that shit out, you know, because the more you keep it in, it's just gonna like really like sit in your head and sizzle. Yeah.
It's nice talking to someone who understands like overthinking a little bit and like just mental health just in general. There's some people who literally don't struggle with it. And I don't understand how that's possible.
Oh, it's because they like didn't have nothing traumatic, I suppose, happen to them. Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah, that is true.
I mean, some lucky few. I mean, actually, a lot of lucky people. Like, I had this big, like misconception, I guess, of people downtown in general. Just like, and that's why I also am like happy to be done with college, because like, I'd always be thinking that like everyone I ran into downtown was like this fucking like privileged kid that like nothing has ever happened to them in their life. They've never had to think about like, you know, where like, I don't know, just shit, you know, like really like just trivial stuff that like you can't, like someone my age shouldn't be thinking about the things that I'm thinking about, you know what I mean? And stuff like that. And it's just like I don't know, it just really like gets to me sometimes when, I don't know, I guess it's a bit of jealousy when I see someone living a life that I can't live because of the circumstances that I've been through. Shit
I feel
like that.
I feel that. It is interesting too, because the one thing I've noticed when I just interview like my friends and stuff is that compared to someone like Joe Rogan, who's interviewing, I mean, everyone he interviews has done something that would, like, he doesn't just interview anyone. Like, you have to interview someone who has a reason to be interviewed. But I'm just interviewing my friends or whoever for whatever reason. And like the one thing I've found is that every single person, even if they seem like they put off this persona or seem like they have all these things going for them, even the ones who are rich, who have never had anything to worry about, they have their own set of things that they still worry about in like a different way.
Yeah.
And it's weird because you almost can't relate, but you can, in the sense that there's still mental struggles. And I don't think I've ever met anyone who like completely didn't struggle with anything in any way, shape, or form. Like Dalton, I talked to him about it a little bit, and he was like, I've never actually struggled with depression, never with anxiety or overthinking. He's like, I've never had any of that stuff happen. He goes, but I've gone through a time where like my best friend started dating my ex like a week after we broke or whatever it was. And I was like, so how did you not go to like a bad place? He said, I don't know, I just move on past it. He goes, but I still like struggle like with normal stuff. Like I still overthink when I have a project due or whatever it is. So it's weird because everyone does struggle in their own like way.
Yeah.
But it was just really interesting knowing that after interviewing just people in general, and everyone's got their own story. Even like random people in the street, like you forget. I was like watching a sunset the other day, and you forget. I turn around, there's all these cars flying past me on the highway, and I was like, every single one of these cars, every person in the car has their own full storyline, full set of circumstances that happened to them, and I was like, that is so weird that 99.9% of them will never tell their story, will never share it, and I'm like, now that I'm sharing these things and doing podcasts, I'm like, I can't imagine like not somehow expressing yourself, whether it's through music or art or in some sense.
Dude, man, people go their whole lives and not like ever opening up or anything.
It's a shame.
It is, yeah, because it's like, what's the point of being alive then?
That's what I'm saying. Like, Billie Eilish said this in an interview the other day, and she was like, the only reason I make art is because the only way to continue art is to keep creating. Because if you don't create your art, the person who would have seen your art never would have gotten inspired to make their own piece, and then the person who would have seen their piece never would have made their piece. So like, if no one creates, it just stops. And they're like, so they were like, there's almost no option but to just put yourself out there because someone will take whatever they take from it.
Yeah.
You know, and you just put your story out. That was something I struggled with my podcast for a while. I was trying to like help people or something, or like give tips all the time, or almost not patronize, but speak in a way as if I like knew all these things. And I was like, that's not how you help people. You just tell them your experience, your perspective, and they're gonna take whatever they take from it.
Yeah.
You can't control how they're gonna take something. You know, and so that's why I like having these conversations now, because we just talk about whatever. We talked about environmental class, and someone might listen to that bit, and the most important bit of our podcast might be the one thing we talked about in like nutrition class.
Oh yeah, right.
When in our heads we're like, the most important thing was this other thing we talked about. But then someone else just needed to hear this 1 5-second clip of whatever we said. Yeah. And that's cool. That's like the best part about art, you know.
I'm gonna tell you a story, Cade. It's about my past and why I am the way I am. Okay. So
wow.
And so I don't know. That's a lot of my issues.
Yeah, dude. Well, I mean, you're right about that, about the father figure. That was the one thing I noticed that I picked up way after. Like, I didn't notice it when it was happening, and now that I'm like have more perspective and stuff, I see what not having a father figure doing their shit the way they should, like an adult should be doing, can affect someone because of how like right my dad did. And I was like, that is so weird, because I used to almost shit on my dad. I was like, I used to think he was like a loser or something because he really liked computers, but like that's just what he does. That's just like hobby and his job or career or whatever. And now he's like peaking. He's like working in Silicon Valley. Like he's killing it now. But I used to take for granted the fact, because I had a couple of friends who had fucked up family issues too. And they would tell me about their stuff, and I was just like, my dad would never fucking do anything, and neither my parents. And I was like, that is so like rare. I think even like adults having their shit together. I was like, I don't think a lot of adults and parents don't have their shit together. That's the problem when you're trying to raise kids, but you haven't figured out your own shit. You put all of that on them. Like you project 100% of that shit on them, and you don't even know because you're so busy worrying about yourself. You know, and now you have to deal with that shit. Like he basically pawned off all his shit and put it on you for a while. Except it's gonna last forever. In some way.
Now I like, the only thing that like helps, I guess, is like music and like making shit. So that's the only thing like I can do to kind of like, I don't know. I feel like I like make good shit whenever I'm like really sad, and that's like, you know, twice a year because of the shit that like just is constantly happening. So I don't know, it's like I guess it's a gift and a curse, because like I definitely wouldn't be as interested in my hobbies and shit, that like vice versa, like if he didn't do any of those things. Like, and like, you know, like I know he's an addict and shit. It is a disease. Like I know he like he can help it, but he can't at the same time. It's like, it's really hard to get off that shit once you're on. And you know, I wish I could be like, I wish he never did it, but then again, like I wasn't alive, nor was I 20. I was probably like fucking 3 years old or some shit. Like I don't know, it's just like, it's weird to think about, definitely.
I mean, it's that whole entire like topic in general of parents is something that's important to me, only because I've known so many people with crappy situations in family life, and since I didn't have it, I'm able to see both sides of it. Because I have friends who have wonderful family, like literally I don't even understand how they're so close to their parents. And I'm like, I don't know, my whole life I've always been I have like an analytical mind, like science based, and like, but I also have like the fully opposite, like spiritual, whatever. But I'm really good at like pinpointing certain things that work, and then just seeing through the bullshit of like, well, this can't work because of this reason or that reason, and just be like, no, that's the goal. So if you want the outcome, if you like that outcome of like, I want to be able to talk to my parents at dinner and not feel awkward, or like I want my parents to share things with me. If I want that outcome, there are steps that can work. Whether or not it's easy or hard, I was like, that's what it takes to get that outcome. And a lot of parents I know, even like my parents, they're like, man, I wish Hannah would, like my sister would like talk to me about these things. I was like, well, you've never talked to her about any of these things. I was like, why would she feel like she is able to talk to you about this, you know. But yeah, so there's just certain things that I see through, and I'm like, especially in my jobs, I'm like, yo, why don't we just do this? This would be better.
Yeah.
You know, and I like, that's just how my brain works. So I always see that. And so when I see people with like crappy situations with parents, especially, I get upset with the parent only because I'm like 22, almost 23. And I'm like, how is it that I'm able to come to this conclusion and you've never thought about these things? Like with kids, like I know people at my restaurant who have kids,
Yeah.
and they face some of these problems that I've pinpointed already. And I'm like, so why don't you just do this? And they're like, well, I can't because of this reason. And I'm like, yeah, but you want this. Like you want your kid to listen to you. You want your kid to like you.
Yeah.
And I was like, so this is how you do it. And they're just like, well, like you don't understand. Like you have to just, like when I say you want a good relationship with your kid, but you also want to be that parental figure, there's a way to do both where you like make sure you have boundaries, but you also like open up to your kid a little bit, tell them stories when you were younger, and like make them feel like they're part of your life a little bit.
Yeah.
And I know so many people with good family lives, but they don't actually like know their parents, you know?
Yeah.
Like I don't know how much you know about your parents. I only know probably 10, 20 stories from my dad's entire life, and like less than that of my mom's. Less than that of my grandparents. I was like, you just have their family. Like they're there for you sometimes, but you don't know anything about these. They might as well be strangers.
Yeah.
And it's weird. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much you know about like your dad's life growing up.
I know that, I know a lot actually.
Do you?
Cause he'd always talk about it.
That's dope.
Yeah. I mean, I know why he is the way he is because like he grew up on a farm and, like, okay, so I think I'm like 90% sure man grew up in Texas. And then he
90%.
came 90%. And then he came here and then he started like farming with my grandpa, and my grandpa was a Vietnam veteran with PTSD, and so that like was put onto my dad, and there's a bunch of shit like well, I don't know. My grandfather was fucked. He ended up killing himself, and yeah, because I don't know why, but he was I don't remember him too much. I think it happened when I was like 3 or 4, and it was just like I never got to really like talk to him or ever know him. And but yeah, I know that like he really fucked my dad up because he like, so my dad's like bipolar and like manic depression and shit, and so it like it's like inherited. It's like the I don't know. It's a lot of shit, man. Like my brother has it too. It's just
when you have that perspective now, like since you know those things, it also allows you to be more empathetic. You're like, well,
yeah.
I mean, the things that happened, like the reason your dad is the way he is, it's a lot partially due to how he was or how his dad was to him, in the same way that you are the way you are because of the shit that your dad put you through, like the shit that happened when you were there. That's good, like that you know that, because that allows like an extra dimension to that relationship.
Yeah, and it's just like I can see that and be like, okay, like so I can see where you failed because you turned to the things that like you thought would help but didn't, and I can turn to things that I know will help and will. 100%. So that's kind of where I'm at. Because I mean, what the fuck am I gonna do? Like go shoot up some heroin?
Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna go smoke crack rock. Like I'm not that down bad.
How you were kind of talking about kind of the shit that your parents put you through, and how each generation gets a little smarter and a little bit more perspective.
Yeah.
And I think that's very true, specifically in our generation, because we grew up right before technology.
Yeah.
Like there was a time where phones didn't exist in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Which is weird to think about. Computers, I think, were always a thing.
Yeah.
But they're very, very, very basic at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, we had like the PixArt app thing that you would just draw. That was pretty much it. Like that's the only thing I really remember from those computers. But the kids now have so much information at their disposal. Like literally, there's like 13-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 11-year-olds who are aware of their mental illness, and they're like 9 or 10 or 11. And I'm like, I didn't even know that was a thing until college. You know, I didn't know that people were in their head. I didn't know that I was even in my head until after I realized it, way into like college. And I was like, these kids are so they're gonna be like wise as fuck, you know. And that's why in my head I'm like, okay, so if we have these issues that we can fix, and we're aware of them at the age of 20 versus 50 or 60, when it's almost too late to fix those problems, I was like, we should implement those. And so that's my main thing with my brand right now is I'm trying to like, since we have this awareness, since I have this awareness, I'm gonna just speak on it, and in a way where it's delivered where I'm like, you could implement some of these things right now, like tomorrow or today, right now. You can implement these ways of thinking, of reframing. It's like I'm big on like reframing things, because you can at like one snap, you can have a totally different mindset, you know?
Yeah.
Especially if you do something like a psychedelic therapy, you can have a moment or an afternoon where it literally changes the course of your life.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm big on that. And since this technology era, this information era is on the cusp, it's already here, I'm like, there's no excuse now to not be better, you know? Not be better parents, be better people, be more aware, be more empathetic, and like hear stories. And that's why I love doing this, because I'm hearing everyone's stories. You grow like every single 2 hours. You like completely evolve. You know.
Yeah.
You know, you go to the grocery store, something happens, and you see it, and now you're a different person because of that experience. Or you have one conversation with someone, and I love that. And now that you're here, you saw how your dad was. You saw how his dad was. Now you're the way you are, and I imagine like, even for me, who had like nothing crazy happen in my family, I'm still like wanting to be better for my kids and like be there for the things that I wasn't feeling like I was being like given when I was younger. Like there's things I missed out on that I thought could have been there if they had known. And I'm like, okay, so since I know, I'm gonna put these on for my kids and like help them. But I'm sure there's things I'll miss that they're gonna do with their kids, and it's cool. I mean, I think it's cool. But what do you think about that? I mean, you gonna have kids? You think about kids at all?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta find a lady first.
Same.
Yeah, I mean, like, shit, man. I don't know. I would. I mean, yeah, because, I mean, you know, I like kids. Like, I work with them. I still am, kind of. I'm about to quit, though, but...
Shout out Kaleidoscope.
Yeah, for
we love
real.
Kaleidoscope. Or I still love them. I know you've been there for a minute, but...
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, kids, like... I know how to wrangle them, and I love them to death. Like, I love kids, and I think it's gonna take a lot out of me and to like be able to trust a woman enough to have that, because like if I'm gonna do that with someone, I don't want it to be with like a person that like I don't trust, or like that like I'm not I guess married to, like, in a way, because like I don't know, I don't want to like, I don't know. I just have to be able to be like, okay, I have to be able to show who I am. And I know that takes a long time for me to like open up to like a person like that. And so I don't know. I mean, we're looking at like a fucking long time.
Me too. No, I think it's I always come back to this because of the technology era that we're in now, the fact we know these things at this age.
Yeah.
But there's so many people who got married at this age.
I know. Yeah.
I'm like, I could not even fathom the idea of marrying someone because I don't know who I am.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not even close to. I'm on the track, I think. But I'm like, I'm not close to being content in a way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I couldn't imagine starting a family, trying to like create a relationship when I'm not even good with myself yet.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so I think that's where a lot of issues come up that we're dealing with now.
Yeah.
Because not that our parents made a mistake, because they didn't know back then. There wasn't like Google, there wasn't TikTok to like collaborate with people and find out these things. So they just did stuff based on what their grandpa told them or their neighbor told them. And so now that we have all this information, I'm like, I don't see people getting married. I mean, people are getting married early still, but I'm like, I see a big push to people saying, get your shit right.
Yeah.
And then find someone.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's so many people now who are like, I'm done. Like, there's a TikTok trend right now of like girls figuring out that guys just aren't chasing anymore. They're like, guys don't give a fuck anymore. They're like, they're out there working on themselves, getting right with their job, getting right in shape, you know. And they're like, look, it's not even worth it now. Like, all I do is get cheated on, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, realistically speaking, like if you're gonna date someone right now, like, how is it gonna work? Especially if they're in school and you're in school, like, or if they're like going somewhere else, like right now, like I have an interview soon with the Peace Corps, like coming up in like in a few months, and I'll know by September 1st if I got it or not, which I probably will. Hopefully, that'll be
Peace
dope.
Corps dope.
Yeah, and so yeah, if I do that, I mean, I'll be gone March, and
It's
then
true.
like, how can if I find let's say I find someone tonight or tomorrow, and we really fucking hit it off, and we're really connecting and vibing and stuff, like, how am I gonna be able to date them
Exactly.
and still do the things that I want to do? You know what I mean?
It's
just
so
like,
hard. I don't have an answer because I was in that boat with Japan.
Yeah.
For a year straight, I like literally stayed away from girls. Not that I like actively stayed away, but I basically did.
Yeah, I know what you
Because
mean.
I was like, I just don't want to fall in that hole and then be like, shit. You know?
Yeah, it's like,
It's hard. It's
because
really
like you
hard.
don't want to fall in love, because like when you fall in love, all reason is suspended. You know,
Exactly.
it's like anything, all your plans, everything that you like thought was gonna happen, like you just set it aside because of the fact that you're in love with this person. And once the honeymoon phase passes and everything, and then you're like really starting to think about like, oh shit, like before this person came in, like I was planning on doing this, and that, and now I'm like in this relationship, and it's like, okay, well, could I still do these things, or like how can we like keep this connection that we have but like go our separate ways? But it's like, and that rarely
It's so
rarely
hard.
ever
But the thing
happens.
is, like, it happens. And so when I talk about now, I'm like, I couldn't get a girl because I wouldn't be able to do these things. Like, there is someone out there who will allow. Like, there's going to be a girl with the exact same mentality going, man, I wish I could find a dude who's doing their own shit and still wanting to, like, we still liked each other and we
Yeah.
can make it work, but is also just as worried about doing their own shit. You know, there are girls like that. And so I know when that happens, you know, when you meet that person where you're like, yep,
Yeah.
it just works, you know, unless you meet the girl who you think is yep, and then
Yep.
they ended up
and then just
sucking.
being nope.
And that's the problem, is that it's pretty much always a false alarm. It's always going to be
Oh yeah.
not the person you're probably going to end up with forever. And it blows. It's not that that's a waste of time, but in some ways, when I think about it, I'm like, I've already done a couple trot runs, you know, and I'm like, I don't know if there really
Yeah.
is anything to gain out of another relationship.
No, because you already know. You already been
Yeah.
through it, bro. You already know, like, okay, what to do, what not to do. And,
Exactly, yeah. Been cheated on, sucks. I just don't want to deal with that shit again.
No.
You know?
Because it's like, I don't know how you feel about like long distance and shit, but like I'm like so not for it, because like
It's hard. It's just difficult.
It's because like if I'm with someone, I need to be with them. Like, not like, I don't mean like every single fucking day, but like, you know, like if I'm not with them and like we're together but we're not sleeping, you know, or like sleeping together and shit, like I don't know, it's just so like not it for me. Like,
It's really, really hard. It would have to be a means to an end.
yeah.
I probably would have to be with them for a period of time, and then if we were like, hey, I have this place I need to be at for X amount of months or whatever. Like if they're like an actress or something, like, hey, I'm shooting in Europe for
Yeah.
3 months or whatever, I'd be
That's
like,
different.
"Fuck,
Yeah,
whatever.
that's
I'll
fine.
I'll probably go with them.
Oh,
You know.
yeah.
But if they're like, yo, I'm living in Canada and you're living in Texas, I'd be like, realistically, what are we fucking doing?
Exactly.
You know.
It's like, and like at that point, do you like keep it going for as long as you can and like have something good and then end it on good terms, or do you just like say fuck it and like right then and there like start the heartbreak right there instead?
And you
of,
don't know
like, a
how
month
they're
later?
gonna. You don't know where that person is mentally, if they're mature enough to be like, yeah, this is not gonna work. Or you get that girl who's like, you're a fucking asshole, and you're like, dude, no, I'm fucking not. Like,
Think.
yeah,
Like,
that's-
you're not gonna be here. I'm not gonna be here. When are we gonna see each other? I'm not trying to FaceTime every fucking
Yeah.
night. Like, I am a gamer. I gotta game a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, heck no.
Big gamer.
Bro. Oh
We got
yeah.
a big gamer here.
Epic gamer.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
No, dude. Yeah, these relationships right now, it's just not gonna work at the moment. Have you had a relationship since like when's the last time you were
So
in a little something?
I was dating. I'm not gonna say the name. I was dating a person. That was back in. We started dating in August, and then we like cut it off in November, and it just didn't work out. Like, she had completely different views on everything, literally. But
Yeah, those are hard to do.
yeah,
It's hard to make those work.
yeah,
It's tough too, because right now, I'll be on like, I mean, I go on the dating apps just for fun. I don't ever like get past like 4 messages where I just lose interest. But
yeah.
It is interesting because they'll like. I sort of understand where they come from when they put like, if you're a Trump supporter, swipe left, or if you like these things, don't even bother. But I'm also like, man, that's so like immature. Isn't it like, don't you want someone who has their own belief? I mean, I guess if they're not aligned with yours, there's no point. But
Yeah.
I don't know, I think it's weird when they put something like that, like an ultimatum. It like almost invalidates what I'm thinking, even if I don't
Yeah.
believe that thing specifically that they wrote. I'm like, damn, you're just gonna
Because
write
it's
me
like,
off like that?
what else is there that like they could write you off? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
It's
I'm like, I'm not. Look, if someone's a Trump supporter or whatever they are, that's like you can't just take one sentence and just be like, all right, that's who they
Yeah.
are. You
Like,
know,
are you really gonna base a relationship based off of a
exactly.
political?
You don't know
belief?
what
Like,
happened in their life that made them a whatever, a Trump
Yeah.
supporter or whatever they believe in. I'm like, you don't know their life. Like,
No.
you grew up with your own life, and that's why you are or aren't this. And it doesn't make it wrong or right. That's just your opinion. And if you're not able to like have a discussion about it, I was like, you're immature as fuck.
Oh yeah.
In my opinion.
And it's like also like whenever you can't like just accept either side, it's like, okay, you have that and I have this, like let's move on. Like, and then when it gets to the point where like you can't move on,
It's just time to cut it.
that's
time to cut
dead.
it.
That's fucking dead.
Yeah, I think people have trouble with coming to terms with that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but a lot of the time, like, I mean, how important is politics? Because it's like, yo, you can talk about it all day long, but if you're not in office, there's not jack shit you can do about any of those things. I was like, so at what point are you just like, yo, who cares if you like Hillary Clinton? You know?
I think it's just entertainment for the masses. Honestly, it's because like I was listening to something last night about it, like not politics but like government in general, and like this dude was talking about how like the best type of government should be a minimal government. So like let's say like you're a slave, right, and you have this master, and he abuses you really bad. That's obviously wrong, right? But if let's say you have another like you have a slave and you get abused like a little bit, that's wrong still because you're a slave. But then like you keep walking it back, and eventually you get to the point of like you're a slave to the government, working to fulfill the government's needs. At what point does the slave like at what point do we separate slavery from what it is like right now, technically like working for the government, because like we are a slave to the government essentially. Like we are all like working to, I guess, like pump money into this economy that we have to fulfill like services that are required and like needed. But like it's just weird because it's like I said, like at what point does like it become okay to be a slave, you know what I mean? Because it's just weird. It's weird. It's weird.
Our country specifically. I was talking to someone about this the other day, but our country specifically, I can't speak for other ones because I haven't lived in them, but objectively speaking, our country is run like a business. I mean, the economy is the country in the sense that like we are run differently than other countries. I mean, Australia. I mean, granted, we're big and we have a bunch of different people come from different places and stuff, but everything is capitalistic focused here. I mean, that's the hierarchy is capitalism is at the top, and the dream, American dream, is a capitalistic version of like the dream that everyone wants. It's always like pushed money first or whatever it is, and that's like the view we have as Americans. And other cultures having the perfect amount of money or having the perfect job isn't like what they. That's not like the one thing they're chasing.
Yeah.
And they're like, yo, there's other ways of measuring success, you know. And a lot of people are coming to that same conclusion now. They're like, yo, I'm never gonna have enough money to be satisfied. I think there's other things we need to take into account for success that's not just money.
Yeah.
And people are waking up to that because people don't care anymore. They're like, yo, like so many people now it's like almost a trend now to say fuck the 9 to 5. Like there has to be another way.
Yeah.
And before there was no internet, there was no TikTok to show that there was a community of people that also thought that way. And so people would just say, okay, it must just be me thinking about this, whatever, I'll just get a job, you know. But people are trying to find other ways around it, and it's cool, you know. And people are traveling and putting things over, or putting things on their priority list higher, even if they don't align with like what the dream mentality of like the American dream is or whatever. I don't know. I'm just hoping our country is coming to a less capitalistic style.
It's
I guess.
I don't know, man. I don't think we can escape it because like
If you stay.
yeah, if like you're here, like you're working towards, especially like you know, I thought I was like like I lean like liberal Democrat, but like the more that I think about it, it's like, and I'm not conservative in any way, shape, or form, but like I get where they're coming from, where it's like, why do my funds have to fill the need of someone else's?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
I feel that.
and it's just like, if we're in the society where like you're essentially trapped unless you leave, unless you work to get enough money to leave, then you're gonna be fucked no matter what, because like you're still like, in the way it's going, the way that like Biden's running the government and shit is like we're all pitching in to help people. It's like he's working towards an equal America. Like everyone has a clean slate, everyone's equal. But then like what happens when something happens that it's unequal? So like at what point does it not be
Never ends.
Yeah, it never ends. It's never ending. And
well, that's the problem is like when you're ultra this way or ultra that way.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can have a mentality where you see both sides and you're truly like in the middle on a lot of these topics, that's the only way it works. That's why people like Andrew Yang, who ran this year or last year for the president, the Asian guy, he is more liberal, but I don't think he wanted to run as a Democrat. He just didn't. You don't have a choice. You're either Democrat or Republican for this. Unless you run independent, it's just harder. And I didn't think he would win, but I was like, that's a good start. Like he was like, look, I don't care. He's like, whatever is gonna push us in a positive trajectory.
Exactly.
He's like, that's what I'm going for. He goes, I'm not big on labeling shit,
Yeah.
And when you're not that, when you are ultra liberal or ultra conservative, I was like, there's gonna be shit that, I mean, everyone at some point loses. You can't in the stock market. If you win, someone lost. If you sold your Bitcoin and lost 80%, someone won and someone got a bunch of money from it. So it's like at some point everyone's gonna lose in some way. There's no way where everybody wins. It's just it's an idea.
Yeah.
It's communism or whatever. It like makes sense until you actually try to implement it and you're like, wait, that doesn't work.
Yeah. I feel like the government should be this like minimalistic approach where it's like things are like, let's say like you get handed, like you inherit $1 million. Like I feel like the government should just like make sure that you got it in a legal way and then you didn't break the law, because like it's none of the government's fucking business. Like
I agree with that.
Yeah, it's like your whoever gave it to you, whoever grandparent, whatever, they worked for that money in a legal way. They didn't cheat, whatever. You inherited it by like chance of God or whatever. So like I don't feel like that money should be directed towards other things. Like just it's just like all chance. Like what, like I got born in a fucking sewer. Like it's like just chance shit. And I feel like it's unfair to be like, okay, this kid got born in a sewer. We have to allocate $200,000 of your dollars to this kid. Yeah. Because like of the situation that he's in. Is it raining?
It might be raining.
Oh, damn.
No, I totally understand that. I think I guess the only reason like the tax system is there is because people wouldn't. Cause sometimes I'm like, if someone makes their own business and they make all this money, I'm like, I feel like they would want to give back in their own way, but I guess some people don't. They just want more and more and more, and that's why the tax system's there. It's to like almost, you have to force it sometimes because some people are just selfish with it. But I hate the idea that like you make something from yourself truly from the ground up. But I guess you are kind of overlooking the fact that like, okay, well, a lot of the things that allows you to get to where you are because taxes allowed them to build the infrastructure or like build libraries or whatever you use. So I do get the giving back aspect. I still think sometimes I'm like, that's a lot you're giving up though. Like the taxes is a lot of money. I'm like, dude, Jesus Christ! Like, where's all that money going? I'm like, is it actually being used the right way we think?
Exactly.
And that's why I'm really big. I feel like every podcast I've had recently has come back to crypto in some way, shape, or form. But I'm like, I don't see a world in 20 years where crypto does not either completely overhaul the U.S. system at some point, the dollar system, or at least come on par as like a literal, am I paying in Bitcoin or cash when I'm at Verde? Like I think it'll be so normal because it's just so much, it makes so much better sense. It's all on the blockchain, so you can't hide anything. The government can't take $600,000 from someone and spend it however they want now. They really have to spend on the stuff they've been saying they've been spending on, but I don't think they actually spend all of it on that.
No.
That everyone's got their like I hate saying like the Democrat. I mean, every
Yeah, go ahead.
politician does it, but the politician they'll take money from whatever sponsor, probably shady,
Yeah.
and then they won't say anything. No one knows about it because it's
Yeah.
all under the table. But now with Bitcoin, if Bitcoin truly replaces it, it'll be out there. And they're like,
Yeah.
yo, I thought you said you don't believe in this stuff, but you're
Yeah.
taking money from companies that are sponsoring this stuff. And like, that's where a bunch of shit will be unraveled. And that's why I think governments are a little nervous about going Bitcoin, full Bitcoin, because they're like, I don't think they want to. I don't think they have a choice because it's being pushed and more companies. But when the big public companies, like governments and stuff, have to adopt it,
Yeah.
they're like, shit, we can't just do whatever we want now because it's
Yeah.
all there. You can track where everything's going and coming from. And I think that's dope because I think more open communication. I mean, the CIA is supposed to come out with alien evidence this month
dude,
or
that shit's
something.
crazy.
And they're probably going to say some bullshit like, well, we don't know.
No, bro, they've confirmed it. Like they have.
I know
said,
they've
like,
confirmed it, but they haven't been like, yo, aliens are on this earth. We know
Dude.
it. I want them to say it, but they're not going to say it. I
No,
don't
they-
see them saying it.
They've been saying like because I've been watching it too. Like I find that shit fascinating. They've been
So
like
fascinating.
they're like, okay, so it's definitely like hypersonic. We don't know what the fuck's going on, and we don't like they don't want to confirm aliens, but they're like it could be Russian or Chinese hypersonic crafts, but like there's no way to confirm it.
Dude,
but they're not
it's moving
ruling out
so
aliens.
fast.
Yeah, it's
I've seen the videos.
crazy.
They're like, poof, poof, and I'm like, yo, we don't have planes that can do. We don't have anything
No.
that can move like that. We
No,
have some
it's-
drones that can move
it's
sort of
fucking
like
aliens,
it.
bro.
But these crafts, these spacecrafts or whatever they are big.
Dude, I saw a video. The fucking thing's like zooming like
Yeah.
fast, and then it just dives into the
Dude,
ocean.
and it stops at like the blink of an eye. It's like going 500 miles per hour, then it's just like, whoop,
Yep.
and I'm like, bro, what was that? You know,
Yeah.
and that's why I think they're gonna say something along the lines of like, well, we don't know what it is. Maybe it's aliens. We don't know. We don't have confirmation whether or not it is China or Russia. So maybe. I just don't think they're gonna be like aliens are walking among us. 'Cause I asked my grandpa. He's like, no, they're here. He goes,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
walking around or whatever they're doing. He's like, I don't think we can see them. He goes, it's probably something like they operate on the frequency that we can't visually see.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe they're literally just in this room. We just can't. We only have 5 senses. You know, we can only
Yeah.
smell and hear and see at a certain level. And you know, maybe that's why like babies and animals can just randomly see shit and start barking.
Yeah.
You know, like you've seen those videos of, like dogs seeing ghosts or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, that could just be an alien operating on X frequency that we can't see, but dogs can.
It's
Bro.
crazy shit, dude.
Aliens.
I always was like, I don't know. I got really deep into it in like high school. I was like, I need to know. Like, I remember I was watching this like, it was a fake video, but it was like this one video of like this dude's on a hike and this alien pops out. I'm like, whoa, that's fucking crazy. But it was like obviously CGI. But at the time, I was like, what? And it's just like so cool to think about like where are they from, you know, because like the nearest star is like a light year away.
Yeah.
I think it's called like Kepler or something, and
They have to be hella advanced to get here.
yeah,
Hella advanced.
Hella
We're not even
advanced.
close.
no, I remember seeing this thing. This dude said they're like generations above our technology. Like we can't even like,
Way ahead. Yeah, for sure.
that like insane.
I'm excited. I also think. I think we're so desensitized. Our generation and the generations below, we don't give a fuck, dude.
No.
Like we don't give a fuck. When something happens, we're just like, all right,
Yeah.
move on. You know, like 9/11 happened, that stopped the fucking world for I don't know how long. I wasn't.
Yeah.
I was barely like, I wasn't really aware at that point
Mhm.
in my life. But then like, all these things happen, and our world is so fast that we just move past it. We're like, all right,
Yeah.
on to the next. You know, Black Lives Matter was big for a month.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking a month later, I haven't seen a BLM anything since
Yeah.
that time, and I knew at that time when it was happening, and everyone was FOMOing into posting black squares or
Yeah.
doing like I even did a podcast with Sasha. We talked about it, and it was good. But I also knew in the back of my head, I was like, yo, like this feels so big, and it is big for the people
Yeah.
who are into it, but it's gonna pass. Like whether or not
Yeah.
they want to or not, these white girls at College Charleston posting black squares is not doing shit. Because in 2 months, I mean, only for that 1 month did they care about it, and they already don't care about it. They probably don't even
Yeah.
remember. And we just move so fast, and these kids like 9-year-olds just doing dumb shit, and they
Oh,
don't
yeah.
care. Like they'll like slap a teacher's ass, and they're like 10 years old. I'm like, yo, what the fuck?
Dude, it's because of the TikTok shit.
It's
bro.
TikTok, dude.
It's
They
fucking TikTok.
vicariously live through these people, and they think they're that. You know,
It's like Jameer. I always think of Jameer.
dude. Yes,
bro.
well, that's what I'm saying. Like, and it's good and bad. 'Cause it creates like a self-confidence factor that we didn't have growing up, but it's false. It's not real. It's a facade almost. But like, because Hannah, for example, she's 18. She wants to go travel the world. She's seen the things I'm doing. She wants to do those things. I'm like, Hannah, you're forgetting that there's a 5 year gap between you, 5 years gap between me and you.
Yeah.
That 5 year gap, I spent existing and experiencing and doing random shit, growing as a person. I'm here now, and you've seen some of it. I've talked to you about some of it, but you haven't done those things.
Yeah.
I was like, have you seen Good Will Hunting?
Yeah.
In the scene where he, it was after, I forget what their names were, but he ripped Robin Williams, the therapist. He rips him apart in his studio, like the first meeting. He's like, oh, your wife did this, and then she probably cheated on you. But I forget what he said. But he ripped him apart. And he's like, get out. So he leaves, and then when he came back, and they had that super big moment where they're on the park bench, and he's like, you know, when I see you, I don't see some genius kid who knows all this stuff, is so confident. He goes, I think you're a scared little brat. He goes, I think you're really smart, and I think you think you know a lot of things. He goes, and you do. He goes, but you've never sat in the Sistine Chapel. He goes, you've never been at war. You've never watched someone die. He goes, you don't know any of these things. He goes, you think you do because you've read it, you've seen it, you've heard about it. He goes, but you don't know. You haven't been there. You haven't done these things. And I think that is the most like the exact way to describe this generation. Like, they see all this stuff. They see these social media people living these things, and they think they know, but they don't.
No.
You know, and it's weird. I don't know where they're going to be at. I don't know if that's going to create some depression or what it's going to create for these kids growing up, because they're not even aware.
Yeah.
Because they don't know anything different. You know, that's just how it's always been for them. And I'm so glad we didn't have social media growing up.
I know.
I mean, I had 5 years of lifting.
Yeah.
5 years of lifting weights before I saw an Instagram picture.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have any six-pack Gymshark athlete to be like, yo, why do I not look like that? It's been 6 weeks. I've trained for 6 weeks. How do I not look like that? I'm like, yo, that guy's been training for 20 years, and he's 30. Like, he's literally 30 years old.
He's not fucking 14.
Yeah,
man.
I was like, it's not a thing. I was like, you don't just become big. I mean, you can take roids. And that's what a lot of kids do now. Or SARMs.
Yep.
Like, there are shortcuts. But I'm like, you're not going to feel good.
No.
You know, like, I've been there. I've been there where I was ripped. And every kid who looks at that picture would have been like, that guy's probably happy.
Yeah.
He's probably killing. He's probably got a good girlfriend or whatever. But I was like the most insecure at that point.
Yeah.
You know, like, you don't know until you're there that like that 6-pack will not bring you any validation.
Oh, yeah.
You're just gonna sit there and go, well, I could have 8-pack. I could have bigger muscle. I could have this. I could have that. And like, it never ends.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm worried that these kids aren't gonna know that until like it's too late or something. I don't know.
Well, I feel like everyone learns at their own pace, and everyone's gonna like eventually, like all these kids and shit, they're gonna realize that like they'll have a rude awakening for sure. It'll I don't know what it'll be, but I mean, like for me, like I loved like lifting and stuff, and then I remember like in running, oh my god, I loved running so much, and then I tore my ACL, and then I was like, well, this isn't really like a viable thing anymore. So I've had to find other ways to like, you know, but I don't know, maybe they'll find something. I think
that is true. I always sometimes forget that everyone gets to a certain point in their life at a different point in their life.
Yeah, I mean, you found something, I found something. I
guess I get worried because I see people who I don't think have had that awakening.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are old. And I'm like...
Well, yeah, there are...
Like, yo.
Yeah.
At the restaurant, I'm like, are you this mad that your burger's 5 minutes late? I was like, do you not have any perspective? Like,
yeah, I know.
At all? I'm like, yo, chill out. You know?
Dude, I was working the other night. Oh my god, and this couple came in and they sat down and they literally waited 10 minutes and they didn't like they had bread, they had their water, they were just chilling. And then they're like, where the fuck is our food?
Wow.
Yeah, and it was busy, it was slammed.
Yeah.
And they were just, the server was like, just, I mean, like, it's going to take a while.
It's in the kitchen.
Chill the fuck out, like, you know. And then they left. They fucking left.
Wow.
And I was just like, and I saw them the next week. They came back and they, you know, they enjoyed it and everything. But I was just like, damn, like, how, like, I'm an impatient dude, but like, you've obviously never worked in a restaurant, and you obviously don't know the things that go on because
it's a lack of perspective.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's what it boils down to at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know?
That's why I like doing different things and putting myself in situations, and I want to work like every different job so I can see. Like one of the jobs I want to work, I'm not going to. I don't want to, but I would like to know what it's like being in law enforcement.
Yeah.
or like firefighting or something. I just want to know what that's like, but I don't actually like want to. But
My
it would be
buddy
nice.
does it.
It would
Yeah.
be nice. Like I hate that I don't like cops. I hate that when I see them, I get an instant kick of like, fuck.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like that. And I know if I worked as a police officer for probably even for one day, if I shadowed a police officer and
Yeah.
saw what it was like from that perspective, I wouldn't feel that way, I don't think.
Yeah.
But like every experience I've had with a cop has been negative. You know, I'm either
Yeah,
getting pulled
same.
over or I'm getting yelled at about something. I'm just like, I hate that.
I feel like it takes a certain type of person to be a cop.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I can see it having its challenges, but then again, it's like they have to pull you over for stupid shit because like
Yeah.
it's their job, I guess.
Part of
And-
it's their job. I have a little bit of perspective because I did RA. So
Yeah.
I was the law enforcement technically for these kids.
Mhm.
But and like I had rules, but it was like
Dude, like if you
you don't
give a
have
fuck,
to. It doesn't
yeah.
matter. But in the I know for law enforcement they have quotas they have to meet, which I
Yeah.
think is fucking ludicrous. I don't know what the reason is. So I don't know if it's actually ludicrous. It sounds stupid.
It's pretty fucking.
I
dumb.
feel like it's probably due to money. They probably need a certain amount of quotas to quantify them getting this much money
Yeah.
for their department, which is fine. It's like it's a one of the legalities they got to get around. In the same way that people have to wear masks when they walk into a restaurant, but not when they sit down. You know, it's just
that
one of those
shit's
things you got to
so
go around.
Stupid, bro.
But it's still, I'm like, dude, you're like, the problem is you forget that these quotas are at the expense of people. You
Yeah.
know, in the same way that, like in crypto, when Elon Musk sends a tweet as a joke to like shit on Bitcoin or shit on whatever, and then like people lose money, but I don't think he knows. Like, yo, someone they're probably stupid, but they put their life savings into Bitcoin or
Oh,
whatever,
yeah.
and they just lost $500,000.
Yeah.
And you don't know because you're not aware.
Yeah.
And that's why I push so much awareness factors. I'm like, just think about where you're at, you know, and try and put yourself in other people's shoes a little bit, because it's good. It's just if everyone was more like 10% more aware, things would just run smoother. I think, you know, I'm sure other things would come up if everyone was aware. Then some other problem would come up, but I just think so many problems can be solved with just like a little bit of perspective.
Yeah.
You know, and because when I talk to like someone like you, and I'm like, man, you're such a chill, normal, relaxed, like laid back guy. It seems like, and I know everyone has like the things that, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
obviously like
Yeah.
different circumstances make you
I
like
know what you
act
mean.
differently. But
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I know like the type of person you are as far as like morals and shit. I know where those lie, in the sense that I want to like we are friends for those reasons. You know,
Yeah.
but there are also people that I talk to where I'm like, you're insufferable as fuck, and I don't know how people could want to be around you.
I don't get it, dude. Because
Yeah.
you know you'll see those people and they'll have thousands of followers miraculously, right? But they're the most shitty people, and like deep down, they really only got like a friend or
Yeah.
two. You know, like I got like hella friends, but I'm not like big on the social media shit. But like I mean, like you're a friend. Like I consider you a friend. I have like. I mean, I'm not gonna name them or anything,
Yeah.
but like, I mean, like, I could count them on my hand how many like friends I could like, okay, sit down and let's have a deep fucking talk.
Yeah.
You know, it's. I feel like a lot of people don't have that, and it's weird. It's really weird because I'm like, I'll be on like a fucking Bumble or Tinder or whatever. I'll be swiping. I'll say only here for friends. It's like, how are you looking for friends on a fucking app? You know, like just literally talk to people or
Yeah.
like do things that you enjoy, and then you'll find friends that way.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, like common interests. Like you
Yeah.
can't expect to find common interests on a fucking app. Like
It's hard. I mean, I on my Tinder, my bio right now is that I'm traveling and I just want to like take me to your favorite place. Like that's all it says. It's something like traveling in my car, and then something like take me to your favorite hike or like whatever. Like, and I'm not even gonna go on that.
No,
It's
you're
just
not,
for
no.
like it's bored. I'm just bored.
Yeah.
But no, it is true. I mean, there's certain. I just don't think everyone's like mature enough to have conversations.
Yeah.
Not everyone is ready to have a conversation like that. And I guess since I'm here now and I am ready, it's hard for me to put myself in the shoes of, because I can't remember what it was like to not be aware of myself a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, and I always had some level of it because I'm a big believer in, because I know before I took a psychedelic, I had heard that it changes like the way you think and the
Yeah.
way you look at the world, and it does. But I also believe that whatever you were already on, whatever path you were already kind of on, for the most part, it's only amplifying that. Like I already was a deep person who like thought about this shit before, and it only amplified that for me.
Yeah.
I don't see that many people who didn't think that way before take acid and become that now. I think they
Yeah.
just took, like, if they're a party animal and they took acid at a party, they're just gonna be like, oh, that was awesome. Like I thought about this thing, and they don't really change much.
No,
You know, it's
yeah.
just intentions, like
Yeah,
why you
it's
took that
literally,
drug.
Yeah, it's like the intention. Like, what intent do you have on when you like take this drug? Like, or in like anything in general, it's all about like your intentions going in and like how you expect it to shape you and how it in reality it either does or it doesn't.
Yeah.
And it's just cool to think about. Yeah, real cool shit.
It's cool shit to think about, and also it's it's funny because I think so much, especially when I'm on the road, I just have too much time to think, and I'm like, man, I put this on a TikTok actually, and I was walking on a hike, I was walking up, and I remember I couldn't get out of my head, and I was getting frustrated. I didn't know where the peak was. I didn't know if I was on like the wrong hike. I went on one thinking I was here,
Yeah.
and I showed up and I was like, okay, this isn't the same hike. I was out of
Yeah.
service. I was like, fuck it, I'll just go on this hike anyway. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know how long it was. I didn't know if there was a peak. So I'm sitting there frustrated as fuck. And eventually, after like 2 hours of hiking, I'm like, okay, I don't know where I am. I'm just gonna turn around.
Yeah.
And I like came to peace with it. But I was on the way back, and I started, and I was on the same exact path. All I did was turn around and walk back, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like hour and a half in, and I remember I was at a point where I was in the last third before the entrance of the hike, and I was like, yo, I can kind of remember the shit I was thinking about while I was walking up
Yeah.
toward the peak, or toward like when I first started the hike. All the things I was throwing my head in for circles about, like random situations or arguments I was gonna have in my head.
Yeah.
I was like, none of that did anything for me.
No.
I was like, that was such a, not a waste, but almost a waste.
Yeah.
I was like, I was just putting myself through all this stress for some random scenario that didn't happen,
No.
doesn't exist, and I was like, why do I do this to myself?
It's like those shower thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're so useless though. Like,
Yeah.
what are they actually doing for you? What are they doing?
Fucking nothing, dude.
It's so
I have
frustrating.
those dude. I'll get this like weird shit like probably once or twice. No, once every week or two, or I can't fall asleep,
Same.
and I'll stay up all night, literally until like 4 or 5, and I'll just be in my bed like thinking about like, man, why did I say that, or like some dumb shit like. And I can't think of it right now because it's gone.
Yeah.
But like it's just stupid stuff I'll think about, and it's like I'll get so mad because I'm like, dude, it's 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Like, go to bed. Like, why can't we fall asleep? It's just it triggers me hard.
When I find a place that I feel comfortable living and being happy living,
Mm-hmm.
the first thing I'm doing is signing up for a meditation class, because I was like, I need to get good at this, and it's really fucking hard to make yourself do it.
Yeah.
It's like stupid hard to sit down and intentionally do nothing and think about nothing. Like, that is the hardest
It's
thing to do
very hard,
ever. I put that at the same level of difficult. It's a different type of difficult. It's not like running a marathon.
Yeah.
It's a mental battle, and it's hard. It's harder, in my opinion, than running like a marathon, because it's different. It's like all in your head, and it's so hard to stop those thoughts sometimes. And I'm just like, I have to get good at this. I
Yeah.
have to get good at meditation. There's
It's
no other
difficult,
way.
dude. So when I was like on my psychedelic trip in high school, like after the fact, I remember it was like October, November, and I didn't have a job or anything after school. So what I would do is I would get home from school, I would go on a run, and then I would go, because like there's woods behind my house, and I would sit at this tree, and I'd sit down, and like it would get dark at like 6:30, so I would just sit there until then, and like I would meditate and shit, and I did it for about like a month or so, and like that was every day, and I found out like a lot about like myself and like life, and it was really like, I don't know, I kind of like came to the conclusion like when you meditate, like you have to be in this environment where it's like, I would do it outside, definitely in nature, and like surrounded by like trees and stuff, because you can like close your eyes and just like hone in on the like literally just like breathing and being alive. I remember like sitting there and like just I would like have these thoughts, right? And what I would do is like I would like have all these thoughts, and I'd imagine like a river in my head, and then every single thought that I would have, I would just be like, okay, it's going in the river, and then it's flowing away. And then that's how I kind of got
That's a good
over
way
the
to do it.
hurdle of like because like like it's hard. It's like you'll be sitting there and it's like, man, there's a fucking bug. Like it's like, damn. But like I swear to God, like I was able to be like, it's there and I'm not gonna fucking touch it, and it's literally a thought. Like it's a battle. It's really a battle. And it was really sick, man. Like, I remember I was doing it so much, and I was like, I got this feeling one night. It was like a full moon, and I was like, I need to go to my fucking tree, and I need to sit. It was like 1 a.m, and I was like, and I'm not gonna use a flashlight. So I just went out there
shit.
and I walked. I was barefoot. I was like, I want to feel the fucking earth, man. And I was walking. I sat down on my tree, and I was like, yeah, this is it. This is it. And I was just thinking, because like, you know, I didn't give a shit. I was like, man, like someone sees me
And
yeah, literally, like I don't give a fuck. Like I'm
Yeah.
a kid. Like I'm 15, 14. Like I'm literally just out here vibing, and that shit was magnificent. It was really like I got my breathing down. Like I would do the ooh, like I'd bring my
Yeah.
guitar and like hit the note.
Nice.
That's kind of how I taught myself like to sing a little bit. It was like matching the notes, and I kind of came to the conclusion that like this whole life that we have, like everything's like a song, everything's like a vibration, like a frequency, and we're all like vibing at our own frequency.
Yeah.
And it's like really cool to like meet someone that like, or just be able to like recognize that fact. And like when you can sense someone's like not on their game, it's probably because like they're not like resonating or whatever at their normal pace. Or
100%.
yeah, it's just cool shit.
No, it's dope. It's
Yeah.
dope for sure. Yeah, knowing that. Yeah, that basically what you said. Just recognizing that is a thing. You know, that we're all on just the frequency of whatever we're at.
Yeah.
It's cool when you meet someone who's like, they're probably on a. I mean, I think everyone's on their own like specific vibration or frequency or whatever, but some are just more similar in the sense that
Yeah.
we're all like thinking about the same stuff or on the same type of journey or whatever. And it's cool when you meet people that are just beat to the same type of drum that you're on,
Oh yeah.
and you're like, fuck yeah.
See,
Fuck
I
yeah.
also like thinking about like how we're all the same but so different, because like when you think of it like anatomically, I think that's the word.
Anatomically.
It's like yeah, we're literally the same skeleton.
Yeah.
Like our bones and our meat and muscles, we're all the same. It's just the only thing that separates us is like our face and our genetics. And but other than that, we're like carbon copies of one another. And it's really cool to be like, okay, like we're carbon copies, and we also same like we share like similar skeletal structures with like virtually every organism on this planet. Like we all have like rib cages and fucking
Oh, yeah.
It's just cool to think about. It's like we're all evolved from one point in time, and we all branched off like every
Yeah.
point of life. And I don't know, I really get this like feeling of like complete and like fullness when I think about that. It's like super comforting to be like, this is my home and this is my planet, and like everything here is like I'm bound to it, and it's bound to me because like I came from the fucking dust, like our like we came from like death of a star, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? And we've all like been evolving to this point in time, and this is where we're at, and it's just chill. It's
Yeah.
fucking cool,
It's like a blessing and a curse that we can think to that level,
right?
because we get to, if you ponder too much, you start to just sit there and like ponder forever,
Yeah, you'd
and
be
it
like,
just
okay,
never
well then you
ends.
start
But,
asking why and shit.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
don't want to do that.
but it's cool though. Like if you can do both. Like I remember I saw some TikTok. This guy that we're actually supposed to do a podcast together, but he talks about the same. He's like on our same exact frequency about stuff. But he made it, and he's really good at verbalizing concepts that I can't even begin to try and describe. He's just really good at it. And he said something along the lines of like, "Yo, what's even the point of me coming to these conclusions that are just whatever about the world, like
Yeah.
just random, like these things that are all philosophical in nature, but like why do I need to know this?" And his whole account is basically those types of videos, but he's like, that's not all, like I'm not always thinking about that. He goes, I'm not like going through my day waking up and going, oh man, the earth is spinning at this
Yeah.
rate, like flying through the sky. He's like, I'm just thinking about whatever, like what assignment I have due today or whatever,
Yeah.
you know. And he was like, I'm not thinking in this spiritual state all the time. He goes, it's just an aspect of me, a part of me that comes in every now and then. He's like, it's more of like an underlying awareness thing that's there, and it's just kind of like my baseline. He goes, but it's so weird that like you'll see someone's persona online and think, wow, they're always thinking about philosophy, or like people who are like spiritual teachers like Eckhart Tolle or like Alan Watts, those
Yeah.
people. And I'm like, yo, I mean, he's probably more spiritual than most people, but he also has like a normal life.
Yeah.
You know, he's also going to the grocery store
Yeah.
and having to sit in line just like we are, or like doing his self checkout. You can never imagine these people doing those things.
No.
He was like, it's just so weird that he's like, when I have these thoughts, they just pop up. And he
Yeah.
goes, he's like, it's just weird that not everyone has those thoughts ever. You know, and I think it's a lot with our situation right now with technology. It's so easy to distract yourself. And I didn't even think about it as distraction until recently.
Yeah.
When I noticed it, me noticing that I'm trying to sit and do nothing, but I can't. I'm like, well, I need to, like if I'm in the bathroom taking a shit, I'm pulling out my phone, I'm playing Dream League, or I'm going on TikTok. I'm like, why do I need to distract myself? And when I realized that, I was like, oh, it's a distraction. I'm distracting myself from
Shitting.
no, not even that. I'm distracting myself from I'm like scared to sit there and
Just
not. It's weird.
just shit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I'm scared. I'm not scared, but like we are running away from being quiet and still. And some guy wrote a quote, and he was like, "Man's worst thing about us is that we can't sit in a room alone
Yeah.
and think. Like, we just can't. We're too scared. It's like a weird place to be.
Mm-hmm.
You'd rather pull out your phone."
Oh yeah.
And I can't even get away from that sometimes. I'm like, I still can't help it. I'll sit there and be like, I shouldn't do this, and I pull out my phone anyway.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, when you get down to that point, it's like, how many moments have you missed because you've been, looking at your phone and shit? And I know I've missed a good amount because it's like, or especially like, I never dude, it irks me so bad when I go to a concert or some shit and people are filming the concert, and it's just like, so you're willingly paying to come film something on your phone instead of experiencing it because you want to watch it back later and post it. What are you fucking like it just, I don't know, man, it always pisses me off.
I feel you there.
I hate that.
I noticed
so
that
much.
when I left, and I found myself living for like the content. Like I viewed it in a different way. Once I got out there, I realized what it was and wasn't. And I like kind of compared it to that first week in Hawaii where we were there for content. So everything we did was for the picture. And we accepted that, and that's what it was that first week. And we knew the second week was not content based. We were like, look, we're not going to this hike to get this picture. Because we're going on this hike because we want to go on this hike, Yeah. And so that's a totally different mindset going in. And when I first left, the first few days, I was looking for the places to get the cool pictures. And I found myself going like, man, I'm going to find cool places to take pictures no matter what I'm doing, where I'm going. Because I'm on this trip to travel. So I'm going to find it no matter what. Why am I going out of my way to go do something I probably wouldn't normally want to do if it wasn't for this picture? Why don't I just document what I'm doing? And then that's going to mean more to me anyway than getting a cool random picture in this place I don't have any connection to.
Yeah.
And when I started doing that and thinking that way, I'm excited now because I have all this experience now of the travel that I first did, and I actually go to Montana or Utah or these places I want to go. With this awareness now, I'm like, okay, I'm here to document my life here. That's what I want to do. I like doing it, and it's fun. But I don't want to go out of my way to create something and become like a creator rather than like a documenter. Yeah. And that's why I like this, because it's just very candid. You're just here talking about whatever's on your mind.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's dope, And that's why I didn't want to do interview podcasts at first, because I was like, well, I don't want it to be a guest-based podcast where I'm just like interviewing them about random shit. But then I was like, wait, I can just, they have their own experiences and thoughts about stuff. I can just talk about what I want to talk about. Yeah. And they're probably going to have some thoughts on it. And then, obviously there's some information tailored to whoever I'm interviewing. Yeah. But once I started and I realized how not scary it is, just in general, of just doing things, man, I just can't stop talking about the fact that I'm like, dude, just go do that thing. Like, yeah. It's scary, though. I remember I have a video where I literally quit on camera almost. Really? Yeah, like I posted on my YouTube where I was about to go get another job and work for another few months, and then I just said, nah, I'm not doing this. And I pulled out of the parking lot, completely just skipped the interview. Wow. And quit all my other jobs that day. Like I quit Kaleidoscope and Loggerheads. And I like filmed it. It was like very candid and very like in the moment. And I was like, damn, that was scary for about 20 minutes. And then I was like, all right, now I'm here. Yeah. And that's like the confidence you build. You like build a higher self-esteem when you put yourself through something and then you come out on the other side. Like there are some song lyrics like that where they're talking about, he's like, yo, you've made it to this point in your life. Every single moment where you thought, I'm not going to get through this, you end up getting through. Yeah. And so in my last podcast, I talked about it. I was like, yo, if you were to get some guru walk up to you, some God-like figure, and he goes, yo, when you're 60, this thing's going to happen to you. And then he walked away, you'd be like, okay, wow. So that means anything that happens from now till 60, I'll get through. Every single one of those things, I'll be alive. Yeah. And that, like, confidence in yourself, if you can just believe that, you're like, yo, I'm gonna be alive at 80. That means every single time something crazy happens to you where you're like, I'm not gonna get through this, you will get through it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a good feeling to have. And that's a good place to be mentally. Because if you don't have that and you're like, yo, I don't think I can get through this, and some people don't have that confidence in themselves, then that's where something like suicide could happen. You know? And that's scary because it's scary, and it's not that it's unnecessary, but I'm like, man, if more people were talking about this stuff and it became more normal to just have these conversations and it'd be like a thing, it would just end so much suffering. I feel like, especially for kids growing up, you know, with like self-confidence issues. We've talked about it, like just being self-conscious and insecure in high school. That's all high school is. That's why it's so toxic. Literally. Everyone is insecure, but no one knows it. Everyone thinks they're the only one going through it. And I was like, why are people not talking about this? You know, and that's why I'm like, I can't stop talking about it. I'm like, this needs to be a thing. I need to talk about it so other people start talking about it. So that's mainstream. That way, when there's 15-year-old kids in high school walking around insecure that, you know, they got puffy nipples or they're not tall enough, I'm like, yo, that guy is tall enough, who doesn't have puffy nipples, he's worried about the fact that he's too tall, you know, or the fact that his dick isn't big enough or whatever. Like, everyone's got their own shit they're worried about, and no one knows that until after. You know, you don't notice that until you're out of high school, and then it's too late. You know, but then they don't even tell the kids in high school, or they get to an adult and they become parents, and they don't tell that to their kid. I'm like, yo, you remember, I mean, you probably forgot, but like, if you can remember, like, yo, these are things I was worrying about in high school, and they were dumb. I'm here now, I'm alive, I'm all good, I got through it, it wasn't that big of a deal. Why would you not tell your kid that and help them out a little bit? You know, that would deepen your relationship with your kid would be better off. I was like, it's just all good things. I'm like, it's just communication. And so, that's why I love the podcast. It's great. Let's talk.
Yeah.
I just go on rants.
Yeah, man, I don't know. It's like the insecure shit about like high school and stuff is really like, because I was like extremely insecure. Like, I don't know. I think I low-key had like a eating disorder at one point because I would eat barely anything and then fucking run like 6 miles. Like, you know, like, and I don't know. I was just like, I need to get as thin as possible because like previously, like I was made fun of for being like bigger and shit. So I was like, I need to like change myself because of the way that people think about me. And I ended up doing it, and I was like, this is fucking gay. I don't like this. Like, I literally based my whole, like, a chunk of my life on what someone else thought, and they probably don't even fucking remember saying it.
They probably thought it for 2 seconds.
Yeah,
and then
they probably were like,
life.
haha, fat ass, and then thought, and then I saw it was in my head for years, you know?
That awareness is good, because you remember, and you know, like, when you walk past someone and you judge someone for something, 1 second later you forget. It's not like you think about it. You're like, oh, that guy has a weird looking shirt, and he probably is aware that he probably has a weird looking shirt, but he's like, oh, everyone's thinking, they're all probably laughing at me. You're like, yo, he probably fucked on you for 1 second and then moved on. You
exactly.
know? And that's good to know. That's good for you to know. It's good for everyone to know. If you, it's just anyone, for everyone, if they just had a little bit more, just like, I think it's just self-confidence. I'm like, that can be taught. You know, you can teach self-confidence if you do it early enough with your kids. Like, yo, these kids can make fun of you, and you just like, you're always there for them, and you like reinforce that. A lot of parents talk about the fact that they're like, well, you don't get it, you don't have kids. I'm like, I know that. And I know that they're like, well, there's all these things you have to worry about just to keep your kid like alive. And I was like, I understand that, but is that worth it? Like, if your kid's gonna be alive, except they hate you and they don't have a good life, they have a bad self-image themselves, I'm like, you could just add in a little more effort there in this one department that you completely left out because you didn't think it was important. Now they have a shitty self-image and they have confidence issues for their whole life. And they're going to pass that on forever, for every generation. I was like, you can stop that. And so where I was going with that is that when I had like puffy nipples growing up, I wasn't tall. I thought my dick was too small. Like all those things everyone thinks of when they're growing up. And the way I combated that was like, okay, well, I can't get rid of this. I can't change most of the things I'm worried about, like the height thing, that's genetic. You know, all the things I was worried about were all things I couldn't control. But I was like, okay, so there's one thing I can control. If my nipples are puffy or I have like droopy titties or whatever, I was like, okay, I can just work out my chest a little bit. So for like 6 years, 7 years, I mean, that wasn't the only reason. I mean, once I started working out, it changed a little bit, like why I was doing things. But I mean, I started working out, and like now I have like a bigger chest. It like covers up the fact that I have like puffier nipples, and it's not like a big deal anymore. For a while, I had like small shoulders because I forgot that you have to work out shoulders to grow shoulders. So
Yeah.
for 3 years, I did shoulders every day. Now I'm at a point where I look at a picture and I don't see the shoulder.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't worry about it. And that's all I wanted. And so that's like a much more realistic thing. If you can come up with solutions that don't that actually have like a cap.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the problem is with a lot of people when they set goals is they set a very lofty goal, which is good, but there's no actual like specific goal. They're like, I want to lose weight. And you're like, okay, well, at what point are you going to be good?
Yeah,
you know, you have to set like an exact thing. Like for me, I was like, okay, I want to get to a point where my shoulder actually sticks out a little bit. I was like, once I'm there, I'm done. I'm good. I don't need to worry about. I don't want to have the biggest shoulders in the world. I just want to have a shoulder that exists. You know. So for me, when I look at a picture, if I don't zone in my shoulder, I won. And so I said, when that day happens, I'm done. I'll still work out my shoulders because I like it, but like I don't need to think about it anymore. That was the only thing I was chasing. So when I got there, and like 3 months ago, I saw a picture of my shirt off, and my shoulder was there, and I was like, dope. I don't need to Facetune. I don't need to like highlight anything or edit it. I'm good to go. That's when I stopped worrying about the shoulder, you know? And that for me, that goal was like check mark, and I don't like feel unsatisfied.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a much easier realistic thing to do versus when you're like, I'm trying to get big. You're like, well, how big? You're never going to be big enough if you say I want to be big.
No, because it's always that like, I don't know, maybe it's the way our society is. It's like, it's like whenever you have what you want, it's not enough.
Yeah.
And it's just like.
It's because you don't have a specific thing. You're like, I want that. Right?
Yeah.
Well, what is it about that? Like when you look at a guy who looks really good with the shirt off, I want to look like that. You're like, well, you can't. You're not 6'4".
Exactly.
You know? Like find something that you can actually attain, and when you get there, go, is this really what I wanted? Because if it is, then you're good. You know, then you won't want something more.
I mean, according to J. Cole, all any boy wants is just to be loved.
Facts.
That's what I want. I just want to be loved. I just want to be told you are enough. You're fine. The way you are, you're awesome. And that's all I want.
And no one, but it's because no one said that growing up. I mean, no one says that stuff. Like the other day, or actually yesterday, my grandma was talking about that, and she said that a couple times. She's like, "You're so like, you're good here, you're good there, and like, you should be self-confident because you're good." And I was like, "Wow, why didn't you tell me that when I was 7? Like, I could have. I mean, it's nice to hear now, but I have that confidence in myself now because of the things I put through because I didn't get that. But I was like, if you had told me that earlier, if my dad had shared some stories or like been vulnerable with me, I was like, that would have been so much more effective then, you know? Yeah. That's why I'm like, why not? If you think those things when you look at your, like if the parents like looks at the kid and they just decide not to say that, I'm like, yo, what are you losing by not saying that? Like, why not tell your kid you love them?
Exactly.
You know, like, you know how many kids out there that I know, including me, that like, they've heard their parents say I love you like once or never, like hug their mom twice in their whole life. I'm like, yo, that's very common actually. Like they just, for some reason, they don't think it'll do anything. And I'm like, you don't know what that does to a kid when you don't show love. You know, when you like, I told my parents like, you never hugged or kissed each other until we were like college. And I was like, so I didn't think you liked each other. And they were like, no, we love each other. I was like, really? Like, yeah, we do. We just don't show you. Like, we don't kiss in front of you. I was like, and that's their own decision. I was like, but that made me think that y'all were missing something. Yeah. And it made me view love in a different way because of that. And so it was just weird. You just never know like how you're affecting other people, especially when you're raising them. Yeah.
I mean, bro, when I get my wife, I'm gonna be hitting whether that kid's there or not. I guarantee he's gonna hear that shit.
Well, it's just funny because, I mean, I talk to, not that hippie families are the most perfect families, but when you have a family that's open line communication, they don't give a fuck about being politically correct or, like, getting mad because you walk around in your underwear or whatever. I'm like, it's just such a, it's not toxic, you know?
No.
And I was like, you can attain not toxic. Not toxic is an actual attainable goal. You know, you don't need the perfect life. You don't need to have everything dialed in and amazing. But if you can just not have toxic, that's very realistic, and I think it's very attainable, and a lot of people can get that. I just don't think they know. I just don't think they know that they're missing out on that, you know? And you don't know that you're missing out on it until you like, get a taste of it, I guess. Like, now, me and my family, when we go out to dinner, it's fun. Yeah. Because, like, we fuck around, we talk about whatever, we're making jokes. That was not a thing before, like, last year. It was awkward. I hated anything with, like, if we had family trips, I was like, kill myself.
Dude,
Literally.
same here, man.
But now that like we
yeah.
talked about it, and I was like, yo, this is the reason it sucked. And I was like, we tried to make it fun, we forced it to make it fun.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, you weren't like talking. You weren't like, I didn't think I could talk to you. You didn't think you could talk to me. And I was like, that's the problem.
Yeah.
If you can just be open with people, this is friends, this is coworkers, this is everything in life, you know? It's just like 90% of the problems that people face mentally can be fixed with just people opening up a little bit.
Yeah, see,
you know,
like,
being
yeah,
vulnerable.
I'm like super close to my mom, and so like anytime we have a family trip or anything, it's like usually just like me and her chilling and like talking about shit. Like we usually go on trips with my cousin and my aunt, and it's always me. It always turns to me and my mom talking shit about them. It's so great, dude. I love it. But like, yeah, anytime we go on a trip, like it's usually like me and my mom being like just having like deep talks about like life and shit, and like I always like ask her about like stories and shit. Like I remember one time she was telling me about how she had like this duck growing up, and it was just her little pet duck, and I was like, that is the cutest fucking thing.
Yeah.
Like that's so sick. And I like one time she like was like riding her bike, and she fucking like fell off and like broke her collarbone and like had to go to the
Jesus.
hospital. Yeah, it was fucked. But I mean, like that's just like the little things that you learn about your parents and like those trips and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's
Well,
really
it humanizes them.
Yeah,
It becomes
exactly.
like when you're growing up, it's parent child.
cool. Yeah,
That's all it ever is. There's a certain point where you cross where you're like, probably in your teens, where you're like, okay, we need to begin this transition.
Yeah.
Like I'm becoming less of a parental figure, trying to keep you alive. I mean, that was the goal when you're 7. You know,
Yeah.
you're gonna fall off like a bike and die if
Yeah.
I don't take care of you. But once you hit like 14, 15, I'm like, yo, your duties have changed a little bit. You don't need to worry about keeping your kid
Yeah.
alive as much versus fostering their emotional state and stuff. Like
Yeah.
your duties change a little bit, and I don't think that's like acknowledged yet. And I'm like, it's true. I mean, that's why so many parents have identity crises when their kid graduates,
yeah,
because they were a parent for the past 20 years. Like, I'm mom.
Yeah.
That's me. I'm mom, I'm dad, or whatever. And I'm like, you're not mom or dad after 15, 16. You're still mom and dad, but everything's different, you know. And when your kid moves out, a lot of parents have trouble coming to terms with that and going, okay, my kid's like an adult.
yeah,
I can't, nag at them every time something happens. And when you do, you're just pushing them away,
yeah,
you know. And it's just like realistic. I'm like, yo, be realistic here. I'm like, if you want a better relationship with your kid, quit nagging them about bullshit that doesn't really matter. I'm like,
Yeah.
you're mad because they wear this shirt that you don't like. I'm like, that's a you thing. That's
Yeah.
not a them thing. They're comfortable wearing that shirt, and as long as it's not like fully naked and they're gonna get arrested, I'm like, you're not gonna stop them by you telling them like you shouldn't wear it. You're just gonna piss them off.
they're gonna just bring it to their car.
Yeah, and
you
then that's
know?
why when parents are like, "Why don't you want to hang out with me?" and you see these TikToks now, you're like, because you literally shit on me every
Yeah.
time I try to talk to you. Like, why would I want to hang out with you? It's like if
Yeah.
your boss said that to you, you wouldn't want to go to get lunch with them,
Exactly.
you know. And it's just insecure.
Yeah.
Like, just if you can just get rid of that insecurity and not worry about other people and what they're gonna think about you, or just solve so many problems. You know, just everything stems from that like one toxic thing,
Yeah.
and just passes on. Man, I feel like we were in the weeds about
Oh yeah.
insecurity for so long.
Oh,
we
yeah.
were talking about that for
Yeah.
a good bit.
I just checked the time. I gotta.
Yeah, I was
head
gonna
on.
say we've probably
yeah.
been going for a while now.
Yeah.
Is there any last minute little shout outs you want to give?
Shout out Nick. Shout
out
out
Nick.
my girl Raquel.
Oh shit.
We did a podcast together.
Did you?
Oh yeah, she was dope. Yeah, mad dope.
I was gonna say you're great at this.
Oh yeah.
You should
Thank
you should do your own.
That's the plan. I mean, me and Nick wants to. I know he wants to do something. That's why I was asking you about the cameras and shit. Like but
Yeah, no, this is a wonderful camera because it has the flip out screen.
yeah.
It's the best. This is $1,000. If you're gonna go Sony, I would go with this camera. I mean,
Okay.
it's perfect. The only issue is you gotta switch out the batteries like every hour or so. But most podcasts are an hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so a lot of the time you don't even need to. But all right, so we got the shout outs done. What was the question I usually ask at the end? I asked this to Dalton. Oh, where you think you'll be like at in when you're 40?
The UN.
UN?
Mm-hmm.
Damn,
That's where I want to be.
that'd be epic.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty big epic right there.
Yeah. I don't know why, but I was like looking at the Peace Corps and shit, and well, I was looking at like UN job like requirements and shit, and you have to be proficient in two of the like whatever big languages, and it's English and Spanish. So I minored in Spanish.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to a Spanish speaking country. I'm gonna learn Spanish. So that's the plan, and I'll get a master's in something and end up there. Hopefully.
That'd be epic. That'd be
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, we're just gonna end the podcast here.
Yep.
We'll see y'all later.
Bye bye.
Peace.